Good evening, Tigercast fans. Hope you're all doing well on this wonderful Anzac Day, or Anzac night, should I say. Thought we'd do a bit of a cheeky live and a Q&A. I know that we've been a little bit, well, not we, I'm going to take full responsibility for it, but I've been a little bit lazy with getting a proper listener segment into the Monday night live shows. Like, we obviously bring up the questions and stuff as it goes on the Monday night, but I thought I would do a specific night where we can, you can fire away any questions you might have, and we can talk about different things. We're talking about the VFL game that we had on the weekend, the AFL game last night, and then I've also got some draft stuff up as well. I've got Cam Hicks. He did a first round mock draft for the top 20 prospects. I think he put it out today, so we can take a look at that as well. And I've got some highlight footage to watch of the two players that he selected for us at this very early stage. So yeah, just thought we'd give everyone a bit of a platform to fire away questions and talk about footy, just because we probably haven't gotten around to doing that so much on the Monday night shows. So, which has been, something I probably need to try and work on. We just get so, not carried away, but we get so in depth and so involved in what we're talking about that we kind of just lose track of time quickly. So I thought we'll do the right thing and we'll actually get a show out where we can, or a live show out where you guys can actually ask away. So welcome to everybody. I am watching, I've got the Freo and Adelaide game on next to me, actually. Freo doing all right, 51-21. I'm probably most concerned about Bolton and Rory Laird for the Crows from a pure super coach perspective. So that's where my mind's at currently. But yeah, Freo doing well. They're actually, if they want to be taken seriously, they've got to win games like this, I guess. So they're doing quite well. But with that said, fire through any questions and I'll start answering some, and then we'll do some draft stuff and some AFL, VFL stuff as well shortly too. The Big Cheese, good username. Does Richmond have any picks/list spots on the 2025 mid-season draft/rookie draft? No, we don't currently. It's a little bit of a problem because we've obviously got Massimo Razzo, who's been doing some good things. We've got, who was the other one? There was is it McCarthy? Is it McCartney or McCarthy? McCarthy. Tom McCarthy's doing some good stuff off halfback. Yes, there's actually going to be, I think, at least 4 or 5 Richmond VFL players that will get spoken to by the clubs, I reckon. There's some, and that might be being a little bit biased, so I feel free to say I've got rose-coloured glasses on for that, because it probably is a high number, to be honest. But some of the guys are really, really good. But high up on my list is Massimo Razzo as someone that I would love to get on board. And it's a weird one because he's a small forward. He did play some midfield minutes in the VFL on the weekend. And why I'm a little bit conflicted is because we've already got Seth Campbell, we've got Steely Green, we've got Ryan Mansell, we've got Morris Jr., but funnily enough, they all kind of failed on the weekend. None of them really fired a shot. Steely got that goal, but outside of that, they didn't really do a hell of a lot. So I'm just wondering, if we were to pick up Razzo, does he fit into the side? Like, will he be playing? Are we picking him up with the purpose to play seniors, or are we going to pick him up? He's still going to play VFL, but just as a Richmond listed player. That's probably, I think, where our mind needs to go to. And maybe that's where a McCarthy is maybe a better option if he's playing off halfback potentially. Maybe there might be more appeal there. I don't know. But I definitely get the love and the hype on Razzo. I'm a huge rap for him. He had a really good holding the ball tackle against Casey and converted a goal from a very tough angle. But my big question is to everyone, do you think if we picked up Razzo, would he be playing in the one straight away? Maybe not first week, obviously, but is it going to be difficult for him to force his way into that small forward area, or would he just still be playing VFL? Like, are we picking up someone in a position we've already got players in? Because we've still got Jasper Elga to come in as well. So that's kind of my only worry, but keen to hear what everyone thinks on that. But in terms of how we actually make that happen, well, that's the $1 million question, I guess. One of two things needs to happen. Either someone needs to retire, or there needs to be a deactivation / long-term injury, whatever it's now officially called. I think we can... Harry Armstrong would be a candidate to be put on the deactive list because it's a 12-week hamstring injury. By the time he comes back, there might only be 4, 5, 6 weeks left. So do you wrap him up in cotton wool and get him ready for next year so you can bring someone else in the mid-season draft? There might be more appeal to have him play those last 5 or 6 games, whatever it might be, especially if someone else like Fall or Sims is playing and they're a bit tired. It might actually be good to have someone fresh coming through. And then the other one is, and as Paul mentioned, will Dion Prestia retire and take up a coaching role? I mean, he's already doing coaching so far. We know that much. We can see it at VFL level. I'm not sure if he's coaching at any level with the AFL guys. I assume he'll have some input along the way. But the report that Serple put out, the fitness update report, as EJ wants to call it, it just doesn't read well for Prestia. I mean, it's gone from being 3 to 4 weeks, and it said that for about over a month, maybe even 2 months, to now TBC. So my feel it's gotten worse before it's gotten better. I feel like there will be a conversation had at some point, but then Uze in his most recent press conference said that he felt he was 3 weeks away. So I'm not sure if there was a bit of a breakdown in communication there between when he's meant to be coming back or what's happening. But yeah, I just doubt that he'll get back to meaningful football anytime soon. And it's really difficult because you want it to be his call. Like, he's a 3-time premiership player, done a shitload for the club, and you want him to go out on his terms. But you just can't help but feel there's a bit of a Sean Grigg-esque type play happening here. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens in that space. But I mean, not that you want to force him to retire, but which way would people want to go? Would everyone be happy to put someone like an Armstrong on a deactivated list so that cancels him out for the rest of the year, lets him recover and gets right, and we can bring someone else in? Would that be a preferred method? Let us know. It's a good question, though. Leo, who goes out when Gibcus comes in? We've had a few comments and questions on Gibcus, especially on videos, more so around people being a bit concerned that there's not really a return time frame for him just yet. I know they updated McKelty Lafau's got a return time frame, as does Tyler Young, I think it was. But I'm not too concerned about Gibcus just yet. I'll get to answering the actual part of your question in a second, Leo. But I'm not too concerned about Gibcus just yet not having a return date, because as Serple said a few months ago, might have been even, that we've got to remember Gibcus has had 2 major traumatic leg injuries to the same side, like major surgeries. So they are going to be a bit more delicate and a bit more safer with his recovery. He seems to be out on the track doing all the bits and pieces in a smaller measurement, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have any reason to worry that he might be in danger of not playing or anything like that. As for when he returns, who goes out? It's a really difficult question, because we're actually in a lot of ways quite heavy for defensive tools now, aren't we? Like, we've got Bolter back, we've got Campbell Gray just proved that he sort of fits in at the level. Ben Miller's down there, obviously. Jacob Blight plays down there, so that's 4. Kaczynski 5. He's probably last on the list that you would have come in. And then you've got Tyler Young, who's coming back in as well, who prior to his injury, he wasn't doing that bad. Like, he's still very new to the game and doing some really good things. So I actually fully expect him to come back and have an impact. But he might be another one that struggles to get into the AFL side. And then you've got Gibcus. So there's a whole range of players there. I actually think, and it might not be a popular opinion, but I actually think Gibcus will end up playing forward, who can have the ability to swing back if needed. So it'll mean that it'll mean that Bolter will stay in defence with Miller, because Miller has good defensive numbers with his spoiling and things like that. And it's no secret that he looks a lot better up there when Bolter's in the side. So I think Gibcus will go forward and play alongside Lynch, and whether it's Armstrong or Lafau or Jonty Fall, whoever it might be. But then there's still question marks there, because then you've still got Bauer who can play a role. And yeah, we end up with like quite a few tools, don't we, that we have to try and juggle around. But I can definitely see Gibcus going forward. Let us know what everyone thinks on that too. Can they play Bolter, Miller, and Gibcus? I reckon they can, just probably not in the same part of the ground. But as per what I just said, I reckon Gibcus might be one that goes forward, which will be interesting. From Jared, do we need to start looking to trade in a genuine backup ruckman from outside the club? Yeah, it's a good question. Look, it's no secret Nank's getting towards the end of his career. He's obviously not getting any younger, still doing a really, really good effort for us. But I think it's a pretty good point. We've obviously got Tom Sims, who have just picked up. Samson Ryan, who's obviously just gone down with the foot. Hayes Brown and Kalina are still very raw, showing okay size. I mean, neither of them, but nor did anyone, have a good game against Casey on the weekend. So they're still not really near AFL ready to take over in a full-time capacity. So it probably depends on how much development and growth they still see in Samson Ryan, I think, is the big question. I still think signing him to a 3-year deal means they must see something in him. It just seems odd to sign a 3-year deal for a VFL/backup ruckman. But if he doesn't come on, and Samson Ryan's still young for a ruckman, so as much as he's not done what we all want him to do yet, I'm still holding out hope that can change. He's still got to put on a little bit more size, and hopefully that can all eventuate. But that's a separate topic, I suppose. If he doesn't come on, though, then you're right. We do have to look for someone outside the club. We'll need to bring in a ready-made ruckman of some kind. A few people mentioned Ned Moyle, I think it is, from the Gold Coast Suns, who's playing in the reserves there behind Jared Witts, who's getting 30 or 40 hit-outs a game, some marks, 15 to 20 odd disposals. He could be one that might be worth targeting potentially. As for any other ruckman, I'm truthfully not too sure who else might be available in our price range. I mean, obviously you'd love to get like a De Koning, wouldn't you? But St Kilda are going to throw a shitload of money at him, and we'll probably be priced out of that very quickly. But yeah, I think it's a fair call that we're going to have to look outside of the club. But yeah, keen to hear who else people think we might look at to fill that ruck void. Stephen, with the small forwards being so poor on Thursday, should we bring in Jasper Elgar? I'm a massive, massive fan of Jasper Elgar. I would love to see him very, very soon. He plays a bit taller than what he is. Probably could have kicked a couple of goals if it wasn't blowing like a hurricane down at Casey Fields on the weekend. But the week before that, he kicked a couple of goals. I really like what he's doing, and I know he's quite young, but I wouldn't be against bringing Jasper Elgar in. I don't know who I would bring him in for, but I would like to think in the next 3 or 4 weeks that he'll get a run at some stage, just because he's putting in a reasonably good body of work. So I'm really enjoying what he's doing, old Jasper. Kano, how are you, mates? I think Richmond needs to give up on the MRJ, or he gets some games purely on his surname, and I'm done with it. I'm a strong disagree on that he gets a game because of his surname. I respect your opinion, though, of course, but it's easy to have a crack at him for this week just gone. But like I said, the small forwards in totality were all rubbish. That's just the cold, hard facts. They were all as bad as each other. But then if you rewind the week before, he was one of our best players. So I don't think we can sort of throw up there it was because of his surname, because if you can get games like the Gold Coast game from him on a weekly basis, he's your best small forward by a country mile. It's just bridging that gap between the best and the worst. And that's why I also don't buy the line of that he's not fully fit, because, again, you look at the week before and he was running and sprinting and chasing perfectly fine. So I don't buy that for a second. Maybe it was just that he was tired. I don't know. But like I said, all the small forwards had a stinker. So I won't hang just the one of them for it. But we would definitely want to see a big turnaround from all of the small forwards next week if we're to be any chance, because that's really the key for most AFL sides, I guess. Sarge, I hear you got something in the mail today. Very good, very good. Yeah, all the first round of stubby holders have been sent out. For the ones who are wanting to pick up, I will be at the Hawthorn game if you do wish to pick up from there. So I'll touch base with people, and I might even do some drop-offs for the ones in Cranbourne as well over the next day or two. That's good it turned up. That's very, very good. Razzo or McCarthy, who do you take first, Damien? I'm really drawn to Razzo, but I kind of in a small way felt McCarthy might feel a bit more of a need, just because it seems like we've got surplus of small forwards. But you would hate to not take Razzo, and then he ends up on someone else's list and shoots the lights out. Like, who would you take? Who would you take out of those two? It's a real tricky one, because it feels like whichever way you go, you're going to get burnt the other way somehow. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure there's actually a right answer. Hayden, do I think that will Tom Lynch get a contract extension as Adelaide kick another goal there? I don't know. I've heard a few different theories, and these are just theories. There's nothing to base these on. But one mate of mine reckons that he feels that Tom Lynch might explore other options at the end of the year to get one more crack at a flag. That's just his personal view. That's not based on any contacts or any information or anything like that. I think he'll stick around. I think it's important that we get him on the park for another year. As much as I love to see Jonty Fall and Armstrong and Fawcett and players like that play, you can even just see, even from last night, they're just not ready to fill the void fully. We need Tom Lynch for another year to really wear the brunt of the opposition defenders. And it's tough for him because, he's getting older and slowing down too. He had a really good game, or really good second half in particular, against the D's, and obviously kicked 3 goals. May probably had the better of him in the first half, and then he obviously goes and gets scans today on his foot, so hopefully that's all okay. Apparently Lynch reckons he's 95% okay, which is good. He just got stomped on. But I reckon he's still a very, very important player for our structure up until one of these new young forwards can replicate what he does. Like, they need to demand the number one defender. They need to be dangerous. They need to kick 2 or 3 goals a game, present, take the big marks. Like, we need to see that on a consistent basis. And reality is we won't see that from some of these guys until they hit 30, 40, 50 games, maybe even higher. So I would definitely be trying to keep Lynch on for another year because I think we still need him partnering these young kids while they still develop and grow and work out how they're going to play their football. Jack Ross, and I even noticed that Tim Taranto played half forward as well for a little bit against the D's. So thanks for sending all these questions through, guys. I'm just going to keep working through them. So apologies if it's delayed by the time I get to it. I'm just going through them one by one. If Prestia retires, can we get Razzo Harry? Yes, that would be one way it would work. The other way would be if we put someone like Armstrong on the long-term injury / deactivated list. Solar, the $1 million question. Do we take both our draft picks into draft or split one and get in a superstar player? That's going to be the question that we're all debating all year, I reckon. It's really difficult, isn't it? In a lot of ways, it depends on what numbers the pick turn out being. But realistically, it's looking like being 2 top 6 picks, for argument's sake. I can definitely see the appeal in taking both of those picks to the draft. You can maybe try and get a Duff Titler and have like your big unicorn ruckman, who obviously won't be ready for them now, but for a couple of years, and then pick up your best available mid, whether that's a Sharp, a Rodriguez, a Dersma, a Grill. I think you say it, GRLG. I'm not sure how you say his surname, but he was one that Cam's linked us to. Or do you trade in, try and get a Harley Reid? Now, I think the Harley Reid one for me is now almost out of the question, and I say that simply because Chad Warner re-signed for Sydney. I've always felt that was the big piece of the puzzle for us, and not just us, but for any other team, because if you could have manufactured in Chad Warner going to West Coast, it kind of dilutes the need to give up 2 or 3 first-round picks, because realistically, if there's no other players involved, West Coast will ask for 3 first-rounders for Harley Reid, and people won't like that. But it's, he's in contract, and it's no different to us wanting the 2 first-rounders we wanted for Rioli and Bolton and things like that. And if they ask for 3 first-rounders, I don't think we'll pay the price. I don't think anyone will pay the price, to be honest. I think they'll actually price themselves out if they do that. So I think where it will land will be 2 first-rounders and maybe some later pick swaps as well. And if I was doing it, I don't think we will give up both picks from this year if we are to enter the trade discussions. I think we will split the picks, keep one and trade one from this year and one from the future, whether that's 26 or 27, I'm not too sure. The other possibility as well, and kind of ties back into the topic before about having excess defensive, key defensive stocks, someone like Jacob Blight will actually be of interest to them. They were wanting to take him in the mid-season draft when we took him, and we obviously got in first. He's a WA boy. They lost Barras, obviously to Hawthorn in the off-season. So there's a need for them to try and replace him. And I'm not saying that Blight's equal to Barras, but it plays the same type of role, and you never know what he might grow into. So maybe Blight's involved somehow if we were to try and manufacture that. But yeah, there's a few different ways we can try to do it. But it's going to be a very, very interesting season in terms of that all playing out. And like a lot of people, I can see why people would want to try and hit the draft again hard and get 2 mids. And like, I suppose my counter argument is that Harley Reid's the same age as a lot of these draftees anyway, pretty much. In some ways he's a bit more of a known quantity, but in other ways, if we get this year's version of Harley Reid, you'd be pretty pissed off if you gave up early picks for that. If you got last year's version, you're laughing, and there's no real way of knowing that answer. So it's a little bit of risk versus reward, I guess. UG Howie, mates. At one point, I believe the team should play along down the line into contest instead of to the slow chip sideways game plan. It's an interesting one. I've seen a lot of comments about our game plan over the last those last 48 hours, I suppose. I think in a lot of ways, Melbourne forced us to play a certain way with the way they were structuring up and pressuring. We obviously started off the game booting the ball straight to Max Gawn every single time, which was just mind-blowing. I couldn't quite understand it. But then the players tried to adjust, and then they tried to do the chipping sideways thing. We obviously turned a couple over, and it didn't work all of the time. But I reckon why we tried to abandon the kick down the line was to stop kicking it to Gawn. So I'm okay with that. But I think what I'd like to see a bit more of in that situation is try those little 45-degree angle kicks, take the game on a bit more, and try and open up the game. So that's where I reckon we probably went a little bit wrong against the D's. But to D's credit, especially in the third quarter, their pressure was ridiculous. Like, don't ignore the fact, not you in particular, but just in general, we can't ignore the fact that 240 plus pressure is beyond elite, like crazy numbers off the charts. And so it's no wonder we couldn't really stick with them in that third quarter. They were shooting the lights out in that part of the game. But it just would have been nice if we had to just worked our way around with the ball a bit more, I guess. How much credence do we give to the 5-day break playing into the Anzac Eve loss? It's a good call, Mortal. The one other thing I didn't really know until Uze's post-game presser, I didn't realise that was our third game in 11 days. Now, I know there's probably other teams that have had similar turnarounds and similar chunks of games in 11 days. I didn't realise we were one of them, but that's a lot. That's a lot to play, especially for a young team. It's a lot of learning for their preparation and their recovery. Anzac Eve is its own very special occasion, so different preparation again. But I don't want to make excuses, but I have no doubt that played a part in maybe what we saw in the third quarter, as well as Melbourne's pressure. As I said, I don't want to take away from that. And we obviously spent a lot of petrol tickets against the Gold Coast the week before, one, gaining the lead, and two, defending it for dear life. So all of those things kind of rolled into one. Definitely take a toll. And it will on other teams as well, not just us. But yeah, it will have played a part for sure. David, I just thought Melbourne were cleaner than us. I think in the first half was a really good game defensively for both sides. And it probably made it look really messy because we were both setting up really well. We were forcing them to kick down the line. They were forcing us to kick down the line. A bit of ping-pong football. But then, like I said, that third quarter, when they got their game going, and that pressure, like I said, was elite through the roof. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There was a couple of really questionable decisions that didn't go our way or went against us that really killed momentum, to be honest. Like that Tim Taranto one where he spoiled Jack Viney, then hit the deck and was running inside 50 with no one on him. We almost get a shot on goal, and if we convert that goal, we're 4 points behind in the third quarter. Instead, free kick goes to them. They go down the other end and score, and then moments later, Thompson Dow gets chucked to the ground without the ball, doesn't get called, and Bailey Fritz snaps a goal, and all of a sudden that's 2 or 3 goals in quick succession, and everyone's heads down. So whilst it wasn't the reason we lost, it definitely didn't help us in the third quarter, and the D's just then rose to the occasion, and they got on top. They got on top. Vertex, not too sure if Tom Lynch is okay. He had scans. He seems to think he's 95% okay. It was basically because he got stomped on, like his foot got stood on during the course of the game. So it's not like it's a twist or he landed funny or anything like that, but he seems to think he's okay, but I'm guessing we're still waiting for the scan results. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Dave, you reckon Presti is cooked? Yeah, it's not looking good for him, is it? It's not looking good. I mean, and yeah, you want him to go out on his terms, but the TBC change of injury status is not great. So do I think the Eagles will get band one compo if Allen leaves? I mean, I guess it's just all dependent on the heat secret herbs and spices, the price he gets paid, the amount of years and things like that. I've got no doubt he'll get a band one compo. I think they'll get well looked after. It's almost as good as a priority pick in some senses if they keep shit in the bed. So I guess the way to combat that, and this is like a now hear me out type scenario, and maybe this would happen naturally anyway, but the way we can sort of work around that scenario, we played them twice. I hate saying this, but you would just have to ensure that they beat us twice so they at least finish above us. So if that somehow happens and plays out, then it won't really matter. I mean, okay, ideally, they beat us twice. We beat North twice. So North are below both of us. West Coast are above us, so that then their compensation pick won't affect the North pick or our pick. That's how we ideally need it to work out, in all honesty. And that, yeah, like I said, you don't want to promote losing games, but that's how it would best work out for us. But we'll see how we go. Play Gibcus, Miller, Bolter. I think we can definitely play the three in the same side. Billy, agree. Gibcus will definitely have to return in the VFL and clock up some minutes, 100%. Danny, we'll need to find a couple of players in similar scenarios as Hooley, Grigg, and Nank. So some middle-aged players. Who do you go for, though? Who should we be having a crack at? I'm not too sure who's be on the table for that, but Yeah, I would like to see something like that happen. Yeah, just the stomping on the foot for big Lynchy. Gibkiss, I think, did play some forward as a junior, Andrew, and he also played forward for us briefly in one of his first 5 or 6 games. He swung forward and showed some really good leading patterns, and I think reads the ball quite well. So I've got no doubt he could play forward. It's just a matter of it's whatever fits best into the side, I guess, is the short answer. Bow will be gone in the season. I hope not, Kane. I hope not. But like my worry is not only with Bauer, but I also worry about players like McAuliffe. I worry about players like Sonzi, who aren't really at the moment getting the proper opportunity in the seniors, and they might explore their options elsewhere. And that's sometimes the unfortunate byproduct of having a really good draft hand and bringing in an unprecedented 8 players who are all very talented kids. That if you're not performing and you're not up to scratch, these kids might pass you and get a chance in the blink of an eye, and that makes you second guess yourself, and then maybe they look elsewhere. Like, I really worry that Sonzi will go somewhere else and smash it. He may not, but yeah, McCall's the other one. McCall, if we need to play soon, but we'll see how we go. How many have we got, Nathan? How many 190 plus centimeters do we have? Is it more than what you thought? We should try and get Liam Reedy. Yeah, there is some good ruck prospects. I'm not sure, Kano. Samson around the same age as Nank. Maybe. I mean, but you could probably easily argue that Nank was showing a bit more at the same age, I guess. And this is where we just need Samson Ryan to really lift his game. Seth Campbell, JP, has to go to the midfield. I'd love to see it. Again, I looked at the centre bounce attendances for the Melbourne game. No new names. It was the same crew as usual. But I'd love to see him go in there, especially I'd like to see it when things aren't going his way. And I know that might sound silly, but playing half forward or a small forward can be a really precarious role that if you don't get on the end of a few or you don't get early touches, you can sometimes then not see the ball for 20 minutes. So when the ball's not getting in there or it's not falling his way, that's when I'd like to see him go into the midfield to try and get some touches, try and get a few quick fire handballs and some quick kicks, start feeling good about yourself again, and then move out and go forward. That's where I reckon there's some value in putting these kids into the midfield for small stints, just to get them active and get them involved. Otherwise, they just go cold in terms of confidence and everything, and it shows on the field. What I think will play forward? I think he'll play forward largely because our defence is relatively settled, and I think it would be a better forward option than. I don't think we would put Miller down there. Bolter we won't put down there, and I just think he provides a really good marking option as someone who could maybe take over from a Tom Lynch. So I don't know. There's going to be a lot of juggling that goes on, to be honest, Nathaniel. But yeah, I can see why you would argue to play him in defence. But I can just see him. I saw enough of him in his earlier days playing forward that I thought, you know what, that could work if it had to. But we didn't have the defending depth then. Now we do. Maybe it's an option. Dave, you reckon we should get Zach Butters? I'm really torn on Zach Butters. Not because I think he's a wonderful player, so that's not the reason I'm torn. The reason I'm torn is I just don't know if he fits our age profile. Like, pardon me, I feel like he's maybe 2 years too old, and if he was to come to us, he won't see any type of success or anything for maybe another 3 or 4 years. So he would have to seriously buy into that, and if he wants to do that, I'm all for it, and he will 100% help our midfield tremendously if he was to come. I just feel that age profile doesn't quite fit. Although the unknown question is, if he was to come into the side, how much more will it fast track the other players and maybe we catch up a bit quicker than we thought? So that's probably the counter argument. But if he's on board, if Zach Butters is on board to come to us for the right price, I would 100% do it. I'm just not sure whether he thinks and we think the age gap kind of aligns. That's why Harley Reid's been a bit more appealing, because he's a bit younger, same kind of age as the players. But Zach Butters on exposed form, Dave, you're bang on, mate. Zach Butters has been ripping form, and he would be outperforming Harley Reid at the moment. So that is very, 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 very much a good call. Andrew, do we stick with four small forwards? I think we do. It was just very unfortunate that they all had a shit one in that third quarter, and probably for the whole game. Like I said, Steely Green was the only one who really did anything. He got that goal. You would like to think, if you were to play that game 6 times or 5 times, that output would only happen just the once. You would like to think. To have them all down at the same time is made life extremely difficult for us to to impact the scoreboard, to move the ball from defense to offense. Like, it actually hurt a big chunk of our game. And they'll go to work on that. That sounds very cliche, doesn't it? They'll go to work. They will go to work on it. They're young players as well. We've got to remember. I don't disagree with the Ryan Mansell inclusion. I thought that was still the right call. He's been one of our best performers, and he'll be featuring heavily in the best and fairest, even after missing 3 games, I think. I would persist with it. If it didn't work again for the next 2 weeks, then maybe you got to question it and reconsider. Because I suppose the counter argument is, if you go another tour, do you become slower? So it's a little bit of risk versus reward, I guess. Leo, I haven't been watching too much VFL. Is Elgar inaccurate, or is it just bad kick or bad luck being young? Because I've seen him get 3 and 4 behinds. So the game on the weekend, Leo, at Casey Fields, 100% bad luck. It was like a tornado out there for 4 quarters. So you can still see I'm wind burnt. It was horrible conditions. The only person that made goal kicking look good was Jacob Van Rooyen from Melbourne. Otherwise, it was horrible. And there was probably a game a couple of weeks ago where he should have had 5 or 6. He's just been really unlucky. He's getting to the right spots, reading the ball well, taking some great marks in the forward line. Like I said, he plays a lot taller than what he is, and that's where I think he'll add value. I'm kind of thinking this is going to maybe seem like a big call, but I'm kind of thinking he can do like a Townsend or a Josh Caddy. Like, he's not tall, not small. I think he could end up being a really good medium-sized forward just because he plays taller, but he's good at ground level as well. And I know that's a big ask of someone who's so young, but I really like him. I can't wait to see him in the seniors, to be honest. When are we going to address the back 7 not working offensively? Bolter, Miller, Vlosten, Broad, Short, Brown, and Trainer. Too tall, too slow, too boring. Look, I personally think the back line's been doing a pretty good job. I think where they get let down is by the midfielders and the half forwards not pushing back and helping out defensively. And then they get exposed. Like, the defenders get exposed because there's so much easy ball going in there. And unquestionably, we missed Bolter in that Melbourne game. I don't want to say if he plays, we win, because we'll never know the answer to that. But if he plays, the confidence of Miller rises, the confidence of Broad rises, and so on. So I think having Bolter in makes a huge difference. But I just think that it's a team defense thing. And, I know Harrison Petty got off the leash the last time we played him. But, last night he kicks 2 goals, and both of those one was a bullshit free kick, and the other one was a Joe the Goose out the back. So we actually did really well in not letting the tall forwards get off the leash. We did really well containing Petrarca when he was forward. I think he only got the 1 goal at stoppage in the 3rd quarter. And I thought we did quite well at containing Pickett for a lot of the game too, to be honest. He had his moments, of course. But, yeah, I think a lot of that stems from the midfield not pressuring enough that it leaves the back line exposed. From an offensive perspective, I mean, you want to see Brown take a bit more of those dangerous kicks. Trainer's starting to get on his bike and wrap around for handballs. But you're probably right in saying the other guys are very much stay-at-home defenders. And that's where McCarthy is maybe more appealing as a mid-season pickup, because he does run from the back half. And that's where the loss of Dan Rioli hurts. JPEG hold out for Cooper Duff. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he keeps going. Tiger Pop, you got your stubby holder yesterday. Very good, very good. Glad to hear all the stubby holders are arriving A-OK. Razzo, we should play half back. I mean, he played in the midfield on the other day, so possibly. Any trade rumours? Not yet, Danny, not yet. So Tiggs is catching up with some of his guys in a week or 2, and then if he gets anything of value, that we'll do our own trade show. But we don't know what they're going to have to say until it happens, I guess. Or actually, I won't. No, I can't share the one that Grock sent. I'll save that for another time. Is Smiley a chance to play against Hawthorn, Melanie? I think he's no chance to play against Hawthorn, just to be blunt. I think we're saving him for the West Coast game. It might, and this is not meaning to be disrespectful to West Coast, but Hawthorn are a pretty good outfit, and I think it just might be a bit more difficult for him to get going. West Coast, he might be able to do his own thing a bit more, because there might be more players from our team they've got to worry about. So I would be targeting the West Coast game. I know he was the leading disposal getter for us in the VFL at Casey, but being there watching it live, there wasn't really a wow, holy shit moment with him bursting away with the ball. Like, some of his handballs and stuff were creative. Some of his kicks were helicopters, but I'm not going to hold that against him because the win factor was ridiculous. Took some really strong marks, showed some okay leadership, and I think even though he played 4 quarters, I would be interested to see his time on ground, because I still think it would have been like 60, 70%. So he's still not playing through a full 4 quarters, if that makes sense. And I'm not expecting him to play every minute, by the way, but I still think he needs to just increase that a little bit more before he's ready to go at AFL level. So I would say one more week at VFL. I want to give him a redemption game and the rest of the team from last week, and then I would maybe unleash him against West Coast. Nathaniel, I feel like Samson Ryan is underrated. Our knocks on him were his weights, and he couldn't hold his marks. There's still problems at AFL level, I think, is the issue. At VFL level, I 100% agree, because in the Brisbane VFL game, he took about 9 marks and was best on ground for us. He's just not piecing it together at AFL level. And I think a lot of that, though, is to do with a confidence thing. I'd love to give him a block of games, like 4 or 5 games uninterrupted, so he's got a full crack at it. But yeah, I guess it's going to be trickier to do now that he's out with the sore foot. Tiger, but you reckon Lynch will stay? I agree. I would love to see him play. Metal Lord, Lynch just got stomped on essentially on his foot, so he's just getting a foot scan. Richmond 17, why do you think we keep playing Macca in the middle when we are rebuilding? Why aren't we giving young mid any midfield time? The answer to this one's actually really, really simple. It's a good question, but it's a simple answer. The reason why we're playing him in there, sorry, it's a 2-part answer. When we play him in the midfield, the only time we should be playing him in the midfield is if he's tagging another midfielder, their opposition best mid, which he has been doing and doing to really, really good effect. If he's playing in the midfield and not tagging, then I would say the argument comes in that it should be another midfielder. But I wouldn't want to be putting Lawler in there to tag someone at this stage. I want him to do his own thing and get his own ball. And sometimes there might be value to follow another player, but I reckon not just yet. So I'm all for Camden McIntosh, the tagger, but if he's not tagging, then step aside and let another kid go in there. So I think there's definitely 2 parts to that answer. Where do I see Junior Callaway playing in the future, Danny? Good question. So for those who aren't aware, Louis Callaway is Duncan's son, who is playing for Sturt under 18s this year and is a 2025 father-son prospect. If you go to our YouTube page, I just posted a video tonight of his highlights from their game last week against Norwood, where he was leading disposal getter for Sturt with 22. He's had a pretty good month of football, to be honest, Louis. I think he's gradually progressing up the draft order. A few weeks ago, I might have said he was in the 50 to 60 range. Now, I reckon he might be in the 30 to 40 range. Again, I'm not a draft expert or draft qualified, so my opinion probably doesn't mean a hell of a lot in that sense. But he's doing well. He's hitting his targets really well. Plays midfield for Sturt. Pretty much the way they use him, for about 15 to 18 minutes each quarter, he'll play in the midfield, like in the guts. He's usually behind the ruckman and gets quite a few clearances because of it. But what I noticed for this game against Norwood, because the margin was blown out quite a bit in the last quarter, they actually played him at half forward or centre half forward for a bit and then benched him for the last 10 minutes to give everyone else a go because the game was in control. But I'm really enjoying where he's heading. I guess the problem becomes if he keeps going well, we have to find currency to get him because we've currently only got our first pick and North's first pick. So we'll have to find something somewhere to be able to manufacture that. So Nathan, read situations up to West Coast, whether they just go into a second full rebuild. It's an interesting one, isn't it, Nath? Because I don't know if everyone heard, or allegedly, that the West Coast list managers or whatever they were having a crack at Harley Reid's manager and gather around trying to tell him to sign. And Harley Reid's allegedly got 3 offers in front of him that he's weighing up. So I'm not too sure, truthfully, if we're one of those offers. All we know is that we were interested. Whether we've gotten to the offer stage yet, I don't know. If I find out, I'll let you all know, though, for sure. Where else? We need to drop a small forward. Do you ever imagine what players like Stack and Cumberland could have been, Leo? I was really bummed about Sydney Stack not making it. He showed some seriously good talent. And even in the Melbourne game where he cleaned up Viney, he had some good football smarts. He could have been a serious player, mark my words. If he could have mentally applied himself and committed, he could have been a gun. He showed more than enough to suggest that, but he just couldn't get it together mentally, unfortunately. So that's not too good. Oh, peepers jeepers. And funnily enough, it wasn't me complaining about it. It was actually one of the mates I was with. But yeah, no hot food at Casey Fields. There would have been a good few hundred people there. They could have opened something. They had a van selling muffins, and then you could buy a Kit Kat or a Snickers with a can of Coke. So luckily, I went home and just made some toasted sandwiches. Uze said his presser, everyone pulled up okay. That's good. Paul Lee, did anyone play well in the VFL that deserves an AFL game? The truthful, blunt answer is no. They were all shitouts. And that sounds horrible to say, but it's the honest truth. We just did not adjust to the wind well at all. Melbourne, they obviously trained there a bit as well, so they got used to it pretty quickly. We weren't hitting targets. The effort just wasn't there. They dropped their heads dramatically, and Batchelor pretty much slapped them all across the face post-game with his words, saying we basically gave up, which is a horrible thing to hear your coach say. But I'm glad he didn't sugarcoat it, because that's exactly what happened. It was a horrible, horrible performance. So, no. But if you were to have to pick someone to elevate, I would still think Jasper Elgar might be a sneaky chance, depending if we want to go down that path or not. But yeah, no one really did anything of note to do that. Josh, if North finished last, has a team ever given away pick one in the same fashion? I don't know, Josh. I would love to find out. It's getting increasingly funnier as the weeks go on. I would hazard a guess that they will struggle to beat Port this week as well. And funnily enough, even though we lost to Melbourne, our percentage actually went up. So we've actually helped ourselves a little bit. Melbourne have then gone above both of us, and now we've got pick 2 and 3, and pick 2's North Melbourne's. It's getting very interesting in that. I know there's a long way to go, but yeah, hopefully Port can do their job for us this week. Melanie, when do the decisions need to be made about Prestia and Armstrong off of the mid-season list spots? I guess just as long as it's before the mid-season draft. I'm not sure if there's a stipulated time frame, but my assumption would be as long as it's before that draft takes place and you can open up a spot, I guess would be the answer. JP Bauer dominates the VFL. He does all right. Again, the game the other day, difficult to get a read on. He did take some nice marks, it must be said. Sometimes still tries to fly for mark of the year. Vertex, now the stream's not delayed. There's a lot of comments. I'm trying to get through them. I'm just getting through them gradually. So working my way through the list. Can't hold on to everyone. No, that's very true. Lawler has to get more midfield minutes. Yeah, I'd love to see him get... I can appreciate why we're managing him the way we are. But yeah, I would like to see him get more minutes too. Damien, mate, I'm with you. I've been all over the Ed Richards one for a long time. Unfortunately, though, it seems like he's about to sign with the Bulldogs. So very disappointed, because I thought he would have been a great get just for that outside speed. Would have been really, really, really good. Herbert, here he is. Operation Get Razzo. We are all over him, Herbert. We're all over him. Lawler spent time. He did spend some good time in there, Greg. Agree. Changes for this week, Vertex. Bolter in, Gray out. It seems straightforward enough. Although, having said that, Gray didn't do a lot wrong. I was truthfully surprised he got subbed. If it was me, I would have subbed Morris Jr. I just think he wasn't impacting the game enough, and then maybe shuffle some deck chairs around. But Gray, to me, showed more than enough to show he's capable at AFL level. So he'll probably will get dropped because of the Bolter factor, but he's also going to be very unlucky. Oh, the Dire Legacy. Thoughts on Nick Riewoldt singling out Dow in Ruse Clues for his lack of effort? For which game? For the Melbourne game? If Nick Riewoldt has singled him out for the Melbourne game, he's got rocks in his head. Dow, in my view and a few others' view, wait till you see the votes on Monday, was unquestionably our best midfielder. That is a shithouse call from Nick Riewoldt if he said that about Dow on that Melbourne game or any other game. His year this year has been pretty good. Whether people like to admit it or not, it's been good. It's been good. Campbell Gray, he did play forward for Essendon, yes. Port would want some first rounders for sure. So it's risk versus reward. We won't give up both our first rounders this year, though. They might get 2 first rounders, but it might be one this year, one next year. McKelty back in 4 to 5 weeks. Yeah, looking forward to McKelty coming back. Looking forward to it. How does he fit in? I've got no idea, but looking forward to him coming back. I'm with you, Paul. I'll give one of our picks in the future first. Yeah, if Butters wants to come to us, I'm open. We'll welcome him with open arms, I can assure you. How's my recovery with the knee? It's shit house, to be honest. The ACL's still torn, so my left ACL has gone again for the 3rd time. It's been that way for a few years now, so I'm pretty limited to what I can do, to be honest. I will look at getting it done again at some stage, I think. Can we go after Murphy Reid? He's a gun, isn't he, James? I really like him. Rationale Roman, issue with Reid is in Harley Reid. How much would he cost? Well, within their rights to request Lawler, another high-quality youngster. I think they'll ask for 3 first rounders, and it will get negotiated down to 2 first rounders and maybe a swap of seconds or something like that. But yeah, and not just the cost of draft picks, but also the cost of money too. You've got to be careful there as well. Greg, I reckon Smiley's another week or two away. Like I said before, I would line him up for the West Coast game, I reckon. I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom and try and catch up to some questions. Bow reminds me of Cumberland. Melanie, 100%. That was the best game Dow played, easily. Anyone who knocks Dow's game on the weekend, I'll not have a bar of it. He was very good. And it just shows the confidence the player can get from playing a block of games consistently. Like, he's really doing well in and under, feeding the handball out, making some good decisions, cracking in hard. He took a really nice intercept mark down back as well. I'm really enjoying it. I wouldn't. So this is where I think you've got to not so much look at their disposal numbers. If we look at Patrick Cripps, for example, Richmond, Patrick Cripps had 30-odd touches, but they weren't effective. And that's where the defensive pressure of McIntosh comes into play. He kept a tracker under wraps for a bit as well. The problem that I've got, though, is that we're not keeping him on that job for the whole game. So we'll do it for a half or a quarter, and then we'll stop. And that's where I'm a little bit confused as to the why. But I don't worry about the opposition midfielders' total numbers. It's more about what impact do they have with those disposals, and that's where Camden's been really good. So don't just look at the disposal column, because there's a bit more to it when it comes to what he's doing. Jay, if we were to trade for a big name, I would much prefer to use one of our surplus key forwards defenders. Agree. So, and this is where I think, and it might not be popular, but this is where I think someone like a Jacob Blight can come into play. Like I said, West Coast, I think, have a need to get another defender in. They lost Barras, Blight's from WA. So I think it kind of makes sense that he could be an option for them if they were to do so. But yeah, it could be a way to not have to cough up as many picks, which would be nice. JP, Gray needs to have a game forward and play second ruck. More of a natural forward than Blight, and has a body to play ruck. Yeah, I thought we might have seen him in the second ruck position, but yeah, it didn't really eventuate, did it? But I would love to see him get a few more games. I think he'll play more. I think he looked very comfortable at AFL level. Campbell Gray took that really nice one-handed mark, made good decisions. Yeah, he didn't do a lot wrong. So I'm all for him. Okay, what I'm going to do quickly, I'm going to bring up, so Cam Hicks, is a friend of the show and does all the draft stuff. He put together his April mock draft, 20 picks only. Very important to say and understand that it's only April, so a lot of these players will probably shuffle around quite substantially by the time it rolls around to November. This is just an early indication from Cam's perspective. It's just a bit of a fun exercise, not to be taken too seriously. I guess I don't hold people to it. It's just a mock draft. But it was interesting to see him put it out there, so I thought it was worth discussing. So we'll go through his picks. So we had pick one. So he's got West Coast finishing last, which could very well happen. So he's got West Coast taking Cooper Duff Tytler, Brisbane with a bid on Daniel Annabelle. So that would be who we would bid on with the second pick, and then they would match. And then Richmond to take Sam, is it Gridge? Is that how you say it? I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly or not. The Sam Grilge, whatever it is, with pick number 3. So what I've also done as well, I have, if it works, I've got to remove first. Here we go. I've brought up the highlights courtesy of Footy Stuff's YouTube page, and I encourage everybody, get around the Footy Stuff YouTube channel. They do all the videos for your Coat Leagues players. Like I'll do some videos for our father-son prospects and things like that. But Footy Stuff, if you want to see all the Coach Leagues players and everything like that, get around them. So I've actually pulled up the highlights, which we'll watch, which was posted. This was from his game the other day. Is it Grill? So he's number 5 here. So he had 18 disposals, 5 tackles, 2 goals in this game. And people are starting to talk about him. And even Cam said this is why he started to open a few eyes of recruiters. So we'll watch this unfold. Number 5 here for Oakley. Oh, nice goal there. So I guess we're just looking to try and get that next gun midfielder in, which I guess we're looking for a bit of speed. Oh, geez, he got him pretty hard there. Bit of a wiry frame. That's okay, though. Not a bad shot for goal. It's Grill, nicknamed Griller. Okay, there we go. So playing centre square midfield as well, which is always good to see. Yeah, love a player. He's not afraid to do a smother act as well. Oh, loves the tackle, holding the ball. See, interesting you say that, Metal, because I've got his highlights up too, and we'll play them. But truth be told, I wasn't that impressed by his kicking. But I know it's a one-off. It's a one-off game. He's got some dash. Doesn't mind the give and go handball grill. It's just all about being able to work out who's going to be one of the best available mids. People seem to be calling on Sharp as well from South Australia, which is interesting. Good collect there. I'm actually really liking the defensive effort side of things, like the 5 tackles, the chasing, the pressuring. To me, that's a trait that you want to have as an AFL midfielder. Yeah, good hands there. Oh, that was not a great kick by his teammate. Oh, holding the man. Good. Andrew, you like him? Looks the goods. Spot on, Trader. The National Carnival will be worth a watch. You are true. You are true. You are correct. Soul, you don't want us drafting interstate. Still got PTSD from Bolton, Baker, and Graham. It's a hard one, isn't it? Because like at some stage, you still got to back your own club to keep these guys. And I know there'll always be go home factor. If you've got like 2 equivalent players, I can see why you would just go the Victorian option though, for sure. Put the hands out there nicely. He's not bad at extracting the ball here, is he? Jay Martin, not sure what anyone sees in Sharp. I haven't seen a lot of him for a long time, to be honest. So I'd have to maybe go and revisit some stuff to form a bit more of a better view. But it almost seems to be universal that he's falling down some of the orders. But then he might have a few good games and put himself back into contention. I'd love to see Lynch re-sign Vertex. I'd love to see him. I think it's actually important that he stays on for another year. Good tackle. Oh, that's a throw. Oh, sling. Jesus. As in, do you mean for Sharp, Jay Martin, as in racks it up, it doesn't use it? Tony M would rather Duff Titler. Yeah, he's a bit of a unicorn, old Duff Titler. All right, so that was the first player. And again, I say it again, make sure you go to Footy Stuff, their YouTube page. They've got all the draftees on there. You can watch videos to your heart's content. They do amazing stuff. So that was the first player that Cam had us linked to. So then we go through the rest of the draft. Pick 4, he has Gold Coast bidding on Zeke Hewland. Pick 5, he has Richmond with Josh Lindsay. Josh Lindsay is, and I don't know much about Josh Lindsay. I was probably more about Dersma and Fred Rodriguez in particular. I really like Rodriguez, but I've got Josh Lindsay's highlights up as well, so we'll check them out. So this is who Cam Hicks has got as a potential number 5, which would be North Melbourne's pick. So I'll bring that up quickly. We'll watch some of the highlights for Josh Lindsay, playing for the Geelong Falcons. 27 disposals, 7 tackles, and 5 inside 50s, wearing the number 6 in the white Guernseys. And the orange boots, easy to pick. Don't we got 2 father sons? Yeah, we do, Solar, we do. So we've got, next year we've got Jack Lees and Archie Daffy. If they both get picked up by the club, and then Tanner Armstrong as a MGA prospect. Oh, there's no sound on this one. Tanner Armstrong looks very, very good, a good prospect so far. So we're just watching Josh Lindsay highlights currently, though, if anyone who's just tuned in, who's a potential draft prospect, number 6 in the orange boots. Jackson, is Lynch injury serious? Not that I'm aware of. It sounds like he was just stomped on his foot. So he's just had scans. But apparently he seems to think he's okay. Dave, who is the fastest midfielder I want? Yeah, that's about right, I reckon, who the fastest midfielder is. Pick 5 will go to Port in the Butters trade, says Dave. Always keen. So Butters only 24. I suppose it's not too bad. Is it still 2 years too old? I don't know. I'd love to have him. I just would will he feel like it's a waste by the time we come good? If he's keen though. Jay Martin, you were keen for Rodriguez as well, but you reckon Grill and Lindsay will be perfect for us. Okay, interesting. I can say also from personal experience, when doing these draft videos, these play videos, it's really, really helpful and nice when players wear something very distinctive like orange boots. Obviously, I'll do the videos for Louis Callaway, Jack Lees, Archie Daffy, and they each have some very different and unique things about them, and Tanner Armstrong as well. It makes it so helpful. So helpful. Surely we just pair Bonds and Butters next year. We're going full Collingwood here, are we? We can pair them, sure. Why not? Josh Lindsay. Now, is there any extra appeal to Josh Lindsay being a left footer? I don't want that to seem like a silly question, but if you consider our midfield as it stands now, we've got Taranto, Hopper, Ross, Lawler, Dow, Camden McIntosh, all right footers. All right footers? Yeah, all right footers. I don't think we've got a left foot midfielder on our list. Is there an additional appeal to having a left-footed midfielder in our line? I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to play starting midfielder straight away, even if we selected him, but I'm talking about in 2-3 years' time, whatever it might look like. Is there extra appeal having a lefty in there? Lindsay's the best kick in the draft. Really, I truthfully haven't been wowed by his disposal in this game, but I know it's a one-off game. The academy game, I'll find that Metal Lord. I'm pretty sure Footy Stuff posted the under-17s carnival. I'll find that video because I want to see what it's all about. Rodriguez is too slow. Is he? I thought he was a bit nippy. I don't know. I'll have to go rewatch him now. Solar, if we can trade for Reed or Butters, and then if we can draft CDT, that'd be the most ideal for the club. Yeah, I think you definitely want to get at least one draftee in this year, minimum. And if you're getting an experienced player like Butters or Reed, then even bigger bonus. McCall for lefty, true. You just can't get a crack in the side though, can he? And Juddy Clark a lefty. Juddy Clark is definitely one. Seems to be one touch from getting the ball, always a good sign. Doesn't mind to tackle. 7 tackles. See, again, the theme I've seen so far with Grill and Lindsay is they both enjoyed a tackle on the defensive side of things, which I think's a nice little appealing thing there. That was a nice kick though. Up the corridor. Nick Dacos in the right age bracket. No, he definitely is. Let's get him across. Dangerous kick. Oh, not bad though. That's a good kick. It's exciting to know that we're going to be adding some more quality to the list though, isn't it? Like I know when it comes to game day throughout the year that it gets a bit frustrating when we have some bad quarters or some bad losses or whatnot, but when you then start to look forward to what another good kick out the centre there from Lindsay, when you start to look forward to what we may be able to recruit or trade for and how the team's building, it's hard not to be excited of what's potentially to come in a couple of years. Shakes the tackle. He is relatively clean though, isn't he? And funnily enough, so he plays for Geelong. That's the same team as Archie Daffy. So Archie didn't play in this game. He didn't play round one. But yeah, he would have probably played in one of the previous last week's game, maybe. Another tackle. McAuliffe in a possible trade for Butters. Gee, you'd hate to let McAuliffe go. EJ would not be having any of that. I guess it depends. Oh, how has he missed that? That's a bad miss. Yeah, look, if you want to not have to use 2 draft picks, then you will have to give up someone like a McAuliffe. So that's just kind of how it plays out. But it just depends on what you would rather keep, I guess. Hotton's the forgotten man of our draftee. He's going to be a gun. Shane Woods Mark II. I agree, Dave. I agree. I think this is the other video. I agree that Hotton's going to be very, very good. He could still definitely be the best out of the lot. So this is Josh Lindsay from the National Academy game, which apparently his kicking was on display. Wearing number 6 again. 15 disposals, 6 marks. Lethal left boot, they hear. Oh, there's Razzo. Smiley. It's all happening. Quality to the list with great salary cap in the few years could be a problem. I'm not too worried about the salary cap, to be honest, Skipper. And I only say that because I reckon that we're one of the best teams in managing the salary cap stuff. Like, you got to remember that we were able to keep Rewalt, Lynch, Dusty, Koch, Rance, Grimes, Prestia, Edwards, Rioli, Bolton. We were able to keep all of those guys on the list all at once with a lower salary cap. So I think we're like a really good chance to be able to retain all of these guys because we're pretty good with how we manage our cap space. Oh, Campbell Gray, what a mark. Good spoil. Daniel Skis don't play for Richmond. EJ looks like a sub teacher at your school. That's very good. So could we use like a Josh Lindsay off a halfback even early days? Kind of like how Harry Sheasel was used on halfback and Nick Dacos. And I'm not at all saying that he's going to be a Dacos or a Sheasel. But could we potentially use a Josh Lindsay like that, a left footer off the halfback line? A bit more of a better ball user. Because he seems to be doing okay behind the footy as well. Big tackle, holding the ball. Jesus. He looks a big boy. Good chase. At the end of the scene's a very difficult one to catch. All right, so that was some highlights there from Josh Lindsay. What do we all think? Do any of them, does Grill or Lindsay tickle anyone's fancy from a draft perspective? Widescreen with 4 firsts in the next 3 years. Father, son, and potential academy should be going all in for Reed and Butters. Likely Butters would be if Sharp's still on the table. I can see the logic in that widescreen. I can definitely see the logic in that for sure. Paul Lee's Callaway, Daffy playing for the Tigers again in a few years will make you feel young again. It's pretty cool, isn't it? It's pretty cool that some of them start coming back around and playing. And Archie Daffy looked really, really good from his first game. He's got a bit of toe, loves the goals. So I'm looking forward to that. And I reckon Callaway is going to be a handy player too. I don't believe so, CJ. Not that I'm aware of. Everyone seemed to get through unscathed in the VFL. JP says 100% that's going to be the plan. Lindsay and Grill are natural halfbacks. They will play wing or halfback early. It's not the worst idea, is it? I mean, like I said, we see Sheasel and Dacos and players like that play those roles early days, get used to the footy. It's easier to kind of read the play from back there. And the beauty is, JP, and the reason why it will work is because they both love to tackle. If they weren't very good defensively, if they didn't have a defensive mindset, it simply wouldn't work. But the fact they love to tackle and chase, I think actually gives it merit for it to happen. So I would be all for that. I'm all for that. Have I seen Harley Barker, monster running halfback South Australia? I haven't. No, I'll have to keep an eye out then. Doing some good things, is he, Metal Lord? Andrew, I'd be surprised if we went after Butters or Reed. I think we'll just go to the draft and bring in our own talent than when we're pushing for finals. I can understand why we would do that too. There's definitely a solid case of both sides. I don't think we should wait until we're pushing for finals though, because I guess the unknown is if we bring in someone like a Reed or a Butters now, will it help develop and fast track some of these other kids to bring them forward quicker, give them more experience, give them more quality around them? I think that could, there's definitely an argument for both sides for sure. Trade for Henry Hustwaite from the Hawks, reckon, and draft these boys. Yeah, Hustwaite's not been getting much opportunity, has he? Damien, if we have 2 first-rounders next year and a Callaway, who's the 3 we cut from the current lists? Oh, that's a good question, Damien. Who would everyone cut? If you had to drop 3 players, who would everyone delist? I would think that one of Kalina or Hayes Brown will probably get delisted. Yeah, that's a tough one. Marley, give it a rest. I don't know. You feel so attached to him now. Like, it doesn't feel like there's any obvious choices right now. I mean, Sonzi might get traded. He might request the trade. Bauer doesn't feel like an obvious one to let go. Kazitsky would probably be one that might get let go. Samson Ryan won't let go because he's still got years to run on his contract. That's a really difficult question, Damien. It's a really good question, but I think we may be looking more at a trade scenario rather than delistings, hopefully, and get something for them. Mark, not liking what I'm seeing from Reed over there. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? The Reed of 2025 has definitely been a shadow of his 2024 self. And that's the risk you take, though, isn't it? Like, we don't know which Reed you'd be getting if he's traded to someone. You can't even, there's no guarantees either. Like, he might just have a real stinker in attitude, and you don't want that to filter through to other players. So in a lot of ways, if you're basing it off output, attitude, and everything like that, in a lot of ways, Butters is definitely well ahead in those stakes, I imagine. 2028 grand final booked. Very nice. Stephen, you reckon we'll trade for a second-hand ruck only? Maybe, but we have to go for someone that won't cost much, I think. Someone who won't cost much. Solar, also, if we try to bring Reed home, think about players that were underperforming at clubs interstate before they went home, then go on to be AA, like Horn Francis and Buckley. Yeah, that's a fair call. And that's the thing, like, if we believe, or Victorian clubs believe that he's just stinking it up because he's just checked out, doesn't want to be there, then they'll see it's worth the risk and they'll take the risk, but it can definitely backfire. Mark Butters, why don't you reckon you want to come to us? It depends on what you value. Obviously, ladder position's not going to be great, but this is where I think it's important that we show enough signs and enough green shoots to say, you know what, we're not at the top of our game right now, but if you come to us, you can help progress and develop these kids and bring them through, and we'll turn it into something special. That's how you'd have to sell it. Whether it works or not, completely different question, I guess. Baker's to, I'll have to keep an eye out in the games then. I'll have to keep an eye out. See, Presti will be another one that could be gone too. JP, Cosy, Kalina, Young, Ryan, Prestia, Smith, Hayes, Brown. So of that list, Ryan won't be going anywhere. The other ones I can see in trouble, although I don't think we wouldn't get rid of both Kalina and Hayes Brown. I reckon we would just do one. But you would hazard a guess that Prestia could be a good chance to retire. Smith, I think, is doing some okay things. I wouldn't be getting rid of Smith anytime soon unless we had to get in a player like Butters or Reed. He's doing okay. McIntosh could be one that might finish up as well, or might get traded. I think he got a 1-year deal, as did Thompson Dow. But, I mean, as it stands right now, you would say that Thompson Dow is more commanding of a spot than a lot of players in our list. So I don't think he's not doing himself any harm by the way he's playing. He's kind of literally playing like his career and life depends on it, which it almost certainly is. But yeah, K-Mac might finish up too. So that might be the 3. Yeah, there'll definitely be a few that'll retire this year for sure. A lot of people saying Kalina and Hayes Brown. I don't reckon we can get rid of both though. We still need to have some other ruck stock in the VFL. Not sure we'll get rid of both. Grant, what's with the poor quality vision? Blurry? Is it? It's pretty clear on my screen. Is anyone else having any blurry issues? Should be running at HD 4K, I reckon. Telly wouldn't want Reed. We've been recruiting leaders. Petition to rank Nank and Feathers so he doesn't get injured. We definitely need to do that. Maybe it's a hard sell. It is a hard sell. It will be a hard sell to get a Butters or a Reed. But that's how you'd have to pitch it, I guess. All talking about the future. K-Mac going to be our main ruck if Nank goes down. That's a scary prospect. Yeah, 3 years, CJ. We gave him 3 years. I think it was last year it was offered. So that's what makes me think that the club see something in him. You don't offer someone 3 years just to play VFL. If you wanted it just to be a VFL, it would just be a year-to-year prospect. So, yeah, I'm hoping he still comes on. I'm low-key still very hopeful. But, yeah, we'd want to see something soon, although he obviously won't play for the next 2 or 3 weeks. How can you be excited for the VFL talent when the reserves lost? Yeah, look, I'm putting that game down in as a mulligan. That'll be one that we should never look at or speak about again. They were just all shit house. It was the only honest way to really put it. But, yeah, I think let's give them this week to try and redeem themselves. But the bottom line is that from the game last week, no one's really put their hand up to get put into the senior side this week. It would be based off a body of work rather than an isolated one game. But that was a stinker. Absolute stinker, make no mistake about it. Yeah, it would be good for K-Mac to stay a Tiger. It would be nice. You'd be targeting finals push in 2028. It's probably an easier sell to Butters and Reed, etc. Yeah, true. Do we all think, is that what the realistic aim is? Is 2028, I know it's very hard with the crystal ball, but is 2028 when you would like to see us start pushing for finals again? I think it's realistic to expect that obviously 2025 is a write-off. 2026, I still think we're going to be bottom 4 areas, maybe bottom 6. 2027, you'd want to be in that like 12 to 10 range. And then 2028, I'm not saying grand final, but you'd like to be really pushing hard for finals by 2028 and everything clicking, because then all these youngsters are going to be at that 60, 70, 80 game mark, and we should have a really good sense of what our side and what our football looks like. But I suppose it is tricky to put a proper time frame on, but that's how I kind of see it playing out, I reckon, in the next couple of years. The club also saw something in Vickery, true. Yeah, like he did put on some size, but he probably needs to put on just a bit more size, doesn't he, old Samson? It's a bit of a tricky one. Cozzy will definitely be the easiest option. And I do want to say, though, Cozzy's doing all right at VFL level. And I know VFL level's a step below AFL level, obviously. But again, wipe out the VFL game against Casey. But aside from that, he's doing not so bad. There's just too many people ahead of him. Like he's simply not going to just get back into the side because there's just too many ahead of him who can do it better. 2028 should be finals bound by then. Players are 50 games plus in and by then. Agree. That's the sweet spot, isn't it? That's the sweet spot. I don't think disposals are the be-all and end-all. It's a little bit about how you use it as well. But, if we're talking about Cozzy, there's just too many other players that defend and spoil better than he does anyway. I wouldn't be looking at defenders to be like a key defender. I'm not caring too much if a key defender doesn't get more than 10 disposals, though. Maybe if they're a halfback, you would have a bit more relevance there, I guess. But end of the day, with regards to Cozzy, it doesn't really matter so much because, there's Bolter's ahead of him, Gray's ahead of him, Gibkiss will be ahead of him, Blight's ahead of him. Like, there's about 5 players who are going to be ahead of him. So I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference for him, unfortunately. So I just want to give Timmy Taranto and Hopper what we promised, premierships before they retire. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Like that whole trade scenario. Obviously, Dimmer went about it trying to. He thought the window was still open, and I don't blame him for it. And we obviously gave up a heap for Taranto and Hopper, and it hasn't panned out how they would have liked, now we would have liked. But I'm with you. You would love to somehow get them, if not a grand final, because that's obviously a very tough thing to do. You'd love to at least get them into finals so they can experience it at Richmond, which would be handy for us as well. So, Dave the Dasher, things can change quickly. Oh, make it 2027. I love that. Would love that to happen. My Gale call, 3 premierships by 2032. Geez, that would, again, you would take that every day of the week. Every day of the week. G'day, Anthony. So jumping in late. Blight to stay in the VFL. I think he will this week. I think in terms of our changes for this week against Hawthorn, I reckon it will just be Bolter in for Campbell Gray, who will be very, very unlucky. Campbell Gray's not done much wrong at all. It'll just be that Bolter's better in that position than what he is currently. Does he still have a role to play as a second ruck? Possibly, but I'm not sure whether they'll bring him in for it. It's a tough one. And like he didn't play very well in the VFL either, but neither did anyone else. I think he'll definitely make his way back into the senior side. I think we've just got to work out what role we're going to play him in. Like, what role suits him best? Out of interest for everyone watching, where would you play Jacob Blight? Do you think he's best suited as centre half back, or is he best suited as a forward who can relieve ruck? What's everyone thinking? We picked Cozzy up, I suppose, as just insurance. It wasn't it wasn't the worst pickup at the time, I guess, but it was just a stopgap, really. I don't think we picked him up with any hope of him solving all of our problems, I suppose. Centre half back says Trouter. JP 2027, all depends on how Uze develops the young ball users and outside runners. Yeah, we definitely need the outside run, don't we? That's where having like Hugo Rollsmith have been really handy. It's been a noticeable difference with him back in the side, and that's why I'm not against persisting with Rioli Jr., Mansell, Seth Campbell, Steely Green, because they've all got really good speed that I think can play a part. They just all had a shit day at the same time, which didn't help. Tally P surprised that Smiley's taken so long to debut. Look, I think a lot of that's just to do with him recovering from his injury. He obviously had the reoccurrence of the hamstring injury that's taken a little bit, and they've been very conservative with him. I think the first couple of EFL games, he was playing up to about 6 kilometres worth of running. And even the game on the weekend against Casey, while he played in all 4 quarters, he was still off for quite large chunks. So I'm not sure if his game time would have been at 70% yet. But yeah, you'd want to get to 70, 75, 80% time on ground before you unleash him in the AFL. I reckon he'll do VFL again this week against the Hawks. And I reckon we will unleash him against the Eagles, will be my projection. So we'll see how we go. How would Lafau go in ruck? Lafau's definitely done some backup rucking before, and if he comes back into the AFL side, I think that will be something he'll have to do. It maybe allows us to be a bit more nimble at ground level as well by playing him as a forward who can pinch hit in the ruck. So yeah, I would fully expect him to do that role when he comes back in. But like, how do we fit him in? So I mean, Tom Lynch is going to play because we need him to play. Then it's, Armstrong's out injured, but Jonty Fall, Fawcett, Sims, one of those guys might get a gig. Bauer, and then you've got to try and fit Lafau in as well. Gibkiss, when he comes back, could be an option down forward too. Like, it starts to become a really interesting selection process. Does everyone feel like Lafau will play AFL when he comes back? Not straight away, like he might need to do some VFL first, but is Lafau an AFL prospect again? Andrew says Blight plays better back, but we are stacked there. We are. We definitely are. JP agrees. Blight's definitely a centre-half back. Yeah, he's a good centre-half back. I agree. I agree. George is all on the Taj Houghton train. I agree. Taj Houghton's going to be a gun. So I suppose Taj Houghton we probably won't see until after the mid-season bye. I mean, at VFL level. Don't be surprised if they go even more cautious with him just because of the talent he possesses. And what I love hearing when even Sam Lawler says that if that Houghton didn't get injured, there was a good chance he could have gone number one. Like that's pretty big praise from a fellow number one draftee to say that he might not even got it if he went there, if Houghton didn't get injured. But yeah, he's a super talent. Where do we think Taj Houghton's going to play? In my mind, I've always seen him as the Shane Edwards 2.0, just that bit of silk in the midfield, can play half forward, very good user of the ball, adds X factor, but finds the ball quite a bit as well. So I think he can add a bit in multiple parts of the ground, but I'd love to see him slot into the midfield just to add that dynamic pace because it's something that we're dearly missing. Lafau may not ruck because of his knee concerns. That's a fair call. Yeah, you don't want to risk doing that again, do you? But playing in the ruck and being multi-position could be his ticket into the side. Like it might be something he's got to do. Damien's also excited about Taj. Lafau is too good of an option to lead out widescreen. Fair call. Damien says Lafau will be better as a second tall rather than getting the best defender at AFL level. That's a good point, Damien. Like, you think about all the games that Lafau played last year, and we only ever really saw him playing as the number one forward, which he's not made to play. Like, he had to play it because Lynch was obviously not playing. But I agree. I would love to see how McKelty Lafau goes playing as a second or third forward. I think he will get off the leash a couple of times, I reckon, by doing that. I think that'll be a really fascinating one to see unfold. Lafau's definitely an AFL player, insane power. His legs are huge, aren't they? Legs are huge. Houghton's a ball magnet. Is he tall, Mark? I actually don't know how tall he is. If I was to guess, I'm going to say he's like 183, 184 centimeters. Someone else might be able to look that up quickly, but I'm not too sure what his exact height is. JP Houghton's going to be a high half forward, 2 goal and 20 disposals type player. Reminds me of Heaney. We'll be going pretty well if we get a Heaney-like play, won't we? That'd be very nice. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him play. How far is Gibkiss? They haven't put a time frame on it, so I think they're very happy to sit back and see how it plays out. Like I said earlier, with the two major injuries to his legs, they're just happy to take it easy. But he's been doing some training drills, and I'm not sure he hasn't done any match sim stuff, I don't think, but he's been getting involved with ball work at least. So yeah, hopefully we see him. I think we'll see him in the back part of the year. But the big question is at what part of the ground do we see him? Oh, there you go, 183, spot on, bang. No, he's going to be a very good prospect. Silent Storm, good point. The hard part at the moment is getting experience into all of these forwards that we have. It's very true. It's very true. And like Jonty Fall had an okay game against Melbourne. I thought he persisted really well and worked hard all game. I felt like he was probably not really involved too much early phases, but he got on the end of a couple late in the game, which was good. Like he was able to stay involved. You just want to see him crash packs more and bring the ball to ground and to help nullify Gawn when he's going up for marks and things like that. But yeah, I think trying to get Armstrong, Fall, Fawcett, Bauer, Sims even, trying to get all of them to like 50 and 60 games is going to be tricky. It's a big juggling act, and there might be times that they're playing them when we maybe don't want to because of balance, but we want to get experience. I don't know. Like it's going to be a really interesting balancing act. But yeah, the sooner we can do it, the better. But yeah, they showed a bit. MJ looked off last night. Jesse, yeah. Unfortunately, the whole small forwards did. Like MJ, Seth Campbell, Steely Green, and Ryan Mansell all had stinkers. And it really limited our ability to hurt teams or to hurt Melbourne on counter-attacks. They weren't pushing back hard in defending. When your half-forward line and your small forwards break down like that, it really impacts the team all over the park, and it makes it really difficult to have an impact on the rest of the game. So the small forwards will have to get better at what they're doing. They'll have to become more consistent because it's such a pivotal part to our game plan. And it's just very, very unlucky that all of them put in a shit one at the same time. So not really like them to do that, but yeah, it wasn't good. Michael Lafau, 195. Yeah, he's a good size, isn't he? He's a good size. Like I said, and it's funny, isn't it? Because Josh Smiley, same height, playing as a midfielder. It's ridiculous. So Lafau, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him play as a second or a third forward. I think he will cause some serious damage. Give some serious damage. Taj seems like a 6 foot half forward flanker. Taj is going to be a jet. He's going to be a jet. Juddy Clark. Yeah, look, Juddy had the 4 disposals in the VFL on the weekend. Look, he got through the game. He was up and about. He was very chirpy and I think just happy to be back out there. 4 disposals obviously isn't a hell of a lot of the ball, but for him, I think he played about a half, if that. So it'd be interesting to see how he progresses next week, hopefully in a bit less windy environment. And he'll probably look to play more and more minutes as the game goes on, as the weeks go on. They played him on the wing quite a bit in the VFL. So do we think Juddy Clark can take a wing spot at AFL level? Does anyone think he can do that? Three-quarter time. Freo doing a number on Adelaide, 80-38. God damn. That is a big score. Let me just check my Supercoach scores quickly. So I need Bolton, Rankin, and Laird. Bolton's on 88. He's already passed his projection of 81. Very good. Rory Laird on 80, projection of 95. And Rankin 102, projection of 87. Very good. Very good. Kick on, lads. Kick on. That's what we want to see. Silent Storm, I agree with your point of giving blocks of games 4 or 5. Yeah, give him a fair run at it. Yeah, and like the Fortune one was very unfortunate, wasn't it? The Fawcett one. He was pretty much in as a placeholder for Lynch. And we were actually talking about this at the VFL, and I don't know the answer, and I'm keen to hear what you all think. In scenarios like that, when it was very obvious to everybody that Liam Fawcett was picked because Lynch was out suspended, do we think that's the transparent conversation between Uze and Fawcett? Like, are they open enough to say, hey, you're making your debut this week, but it's probably just going to be the one game because Lynch will be back, just so you know. Do you reckon they're that transparent, or do you reckon they leave it open? Because what if Fawcett goes out there and kicks 5 goals? You can't drop him. So maybe they don't go down that path. It's interesting. I'd love to know how those conversations take place. Telly P, when will Richmond hand the captaincy over to Lawler? I know it's a little bit possibly tongue-in-cheek, but I think there's a bit in it as well, to be honest. I saw quite a number of people pointing out that Sam Lawler was actually often one of the first players getting around players to give him a pat on the bum or try and pump him up after something happened. I didn't notice it personally. I wasn't looking out for it, but I will next time. Because if he's doing that, that's really, really good leadership traits to see. And yeah, he's just going to be a wonderful player for us. Like, I just want him to kick the ball more. He's a beautiful kick. Yeah, Georgie Smiley hasn't looked explosive. A few people maybe questioned, has he been asked to not go at 100% sprinting? Like, can you manage that in game? I'm not sure if that's even played out or a thing. But he was doing some good clearance stuff. He took some nice marks. But yeah, he hasn't really chased hard the other way. I don't know. I would love to know if there was some more dialogue between how they want him to progress in these VFL games. It's an interesting one. Mitch, odds are of Fall, Armstrong and Fawcett and Bauer won't all end up making it at 50, 60 games anyway. Can't help but think that Bauer's burning his opportunities at the moment. Possibly. I mean, it's probably a relatively good chance just based on that we can't play them all at the same time. So on that, you're relying on people to be in and out of the team. Bauer's an interesting one, isn't he? Like he tries to take mark of the year all the time. He's a nice shot for goal when he has his chances, but Yeah, I just don't know how it's all going to pan out long term. Dave says Judson Clark, wing half forward. Absolutely. I'd love to see Juddy Clark try and get a wing spot. But, I mean, that would mean he's trying to take Trezai's spot, I guess. He's been doing okay in the wing. I thought he's done okay the last few weeks. Juddy's legs looked huge. I didn't even look at that. We need Juddy to hit the ground running and play some half back. See, that's another option as well. Yeah, half back, maybe. He's got a bit of speed. Good user of the ball. Wouldn't be against it. Does Lawler get the number 4 next year? No, I'm not sure they'll do that. I think they'll make him earn it. JP, you reckon Fawcett was against Armstrong? Yeah, maybe. But I think the Lynch out helped, right, in terms of him being almost guaranteed to get a game. It was, I suppose, on the back of that. Smiley's never been an explosive player, similar to Pendlebury, plays the game at his own pace. And it's the other thing I was thinking of as well with Smiley is it's going to take a little bit, I think, of him getting used to an AFL level work rate with a body frame of his size. Like, you don't see many 195 centimeter midfielders getting around at that age that are built like that. So that's going to take a little bit for him to get used to as well. So hopefully he can work that out as the year gets on. Trout, I think the biggest thing working against Bow is he's never going to be big enough to play number 1 key forward. Yeah, whereas everyone else we have does. That's a fair point. Like, he's always going to be, like, he could be our Brody Myercheck or our Bailey Fritsch, that medium type forward. But to do that, he's kind of got to lead more. Like, he can't just sort of sit back and call for it on top of someone's head. Like, he's got to get on his bike, get into the leading lanes and try and get passes that way. I think would be a good starting point for him. Silent Storm thinks we need to go 3 tall and 3 small just to give them experience. With Lynch, not only bring them in for it. Yeah, 3 tall and 3 small. I think we did hear bits and pieces in the off-season that we're going to do a bit of a triangle with the taller players. So I can definitely see why there'd be an attraction to that. But it's just trying to get that mix right, I guess. It's a tough one. Stephen, just I think because Smiley's height, he probably will take a bit longer to be who we want to be. We could have gone Murphy Reid. Yeah, true. Murphy Reid's playing really well, isn't he, for Freo? But I agree. It sounds silly because he doesn't have to fill out or anything, but I think Smiley's got to get used to his body at AFL level and the amount of efforts required to carry that body size at AFL level. I think that's going to be the big thing for him. Smiley missed a huge chunk of preseason. Yeah, exactly. And like, we all saw the preseason videos and shit like that before he hurt himself again. He was doing really well. He was looking good. So I've got no doubt he'll get back to that. Dow's best season by far. Looks like he'll be a long-term player. I agree. I've made no secret of being a Dow supporter, even last year. And I know Dow copped his critics last year, but I'll still stand by this till the cows come home, that last year he was asked to play the number 1 or number 2 midfielder role when he wasn't meant to be a number 1 or 2 midfielder. That's why he looked worse last year, because he was playing a role that's not designed for him. This year, now that we've got our midfield back, he's playing the 3rd or 4th midfielder. It fits his exact role type perfectly, and he's now excelling at it. It's exactly the point. Like, what's happened this year has completely vindicated what I was saying last year, which is nice, that he was never meant to play the number 1 or 2 midfielder. He's meant to play the 3 and 4. And he's showing exactly why we've kept him on board. But, you know, he's operating off a 1-year contract, so he's playing like his life depends on it. And it does. It does. So he's got to keep improving week in, week out. Categorically, he's got to keep doing that. Inside 50 count's pretty poor. Yeah, and I think, don't argue, I reckon a lot of that comes down to how poor our small forwards and half forwards went on the weekend. We just couldn't get that connection going to then generate the inside 50. So we've got to get better there. Like, you want to be hitting 50, 55 inside 50s, don't you? That's kind of the sweet spot. Mitch, I'm glad you brought this up. Layla looks great, which he does, but Jesus, Trainer's a good player. He is so impressive for a young kid to take the – I think he had 9 marks on the weekend against Melbourne, or last night, sorry. The spoils he gets, the decisions he makes with the ball, he's running around getting handballs and being creative late in games. He's going to be a serious player. Honestly, he'll be one of the players that teams look back on in 5-6 years and go, why on earth did we pass on him? I'm still not convinced the concussion shit was fully true, to be honest. I know I spoke about it in videos I made of Luke Trainer pre-draft, but I'm starting to think it was all bullshit, or a lot of it was bullshit, and we just played it perfectly. So it was very, very good. No, we're definitely not going to win many games this year, unfortunately, Mark, but we're going to have fun trying. And you know what? I'm not saying you were saying this in a negative way, so don't get me wrong. But what I'm loving about this year, we've played 7 games and we've got 2 wins from it, and we only had 2 wins last year. So we're already at the same point we were in 2024 with a lot of the season to go. And you would like to think we'll jag another win or 2 between now and the end of the year. So it's definitely been a lot more promising than last year, which is good. Paul, Trainer might be the best of the lot. I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. But I know we haven't seen Houghton play yet, but Houghton could be the one to steal the mantle from him. But I'm loving Trainer. Like, you just know, I'm guessing he'll change number eventually. But if he wasn't, there'll be a lot of number 31s running around like in the crowd, I reckon. He's going to be a crowd favourite. Damien, you reckon we were a tall forward short against the Ds? Possibly. Yeah, I can definitely see why people would feel that for sure. I think Alga will be in contention already. His accuracy's gotten better. There was one game a couple of weeks ago he could have had 5 goals. Obviously, he didn't convert as well as he would have liked. But, yeah, I think we'll see him sooner rather than later. Now, Dow's definitely come a long way, but he's got to keep doing it. Week in, week out, he's got to keep doing it. Pace of the game will be different for Smiley. Yeah, exactly right. Like I said, him at his size in the Coates League, he obviously very, very dominant. The game's a much different pace there as well. So it's a big learning curve for him. It's a big learning curve, but he'll get there. I've got no doubt he'll get there. Lou, how's it going? Elga, MRJ, and Houghton with Clark were worth the wait, and we'll put few in defenders and give us balance. I'm with you. It's going to be really interesting to see how that all pans out, isn't it? Like how Houghton fits into the mix, what the best combination looks like, and how it all balances out. Juddy Clark, I've got high hopes for Juddy Clark. I really hope the kid makes it. I've loved him since day one. I think he's got tremendous talent, and he just needs a good crack at it. He's got the right attitude, and I think he's got pretty good footy IQ, and I can't wait to see him hopefully make it back to the AFL team soon. Houghton, Smiley, Lawler, Fall, Sims, Armstrong all offer something different. They were. And you know what? We were, because of the draft picks that we had, we were able to take risks that other teams couldn't take. Like we were able to take Houghton and Trainer that were perceived risks because we were able to take other players with certainty in other spots. So it's worked out really well for us. No, you're right, Trevor. Trainer does not make many errors at all. At all. Agree that Lynch could definitely kick multiple goals per game if he can stay in the park. He'll get better with continuity. So hopefully this new foot thing is a bit of a nothing and he can play again because, yeah, he will get better as time gets on. When will the Tiggies be realistically challenging for finals? I reckon 2028. So we're saying before, I think next year I reckon we'll still be bottom 4, maybe bottom 6. The year after, I think we're pushing between like 12th and 9th. And then 2028, I'd like to see us knocking on the door of finals. And look, a lot of people might not like that path, and maybe it happens sooner. I do think we have to show Uze and give him the patience that as long as we see progression, I think that's the key point, isn't it? Like, people will feel okay with not making finals till 2028 as long as we see incremental progress and progression as the years go on. If it stagnates or goes backwards, then we've got issues. But if we see improvement, I think everyone will be understanding that we're just going to get games into these kids. No, I definitely did have doubts on the concussions per trainer, Andrew. I did. I don't think Richmond spread the rumours. I think they didn't do anything to squash the rumours. And why would you? Like, if you knew that he was... Because you've got to think, right, we're in 2025. There would have been all types of medical background checks done on all of these draftees, especially someone who was maybe suspect to concussion issues. There would have been a lot more tests done at various stages by maybe not all clubs. But I just think that the rumours got out of control and we just didn't put a fire on it because we felt it could help make him slip, and it worked. Surely we can win against North and West Coast. Well, Jesse, I was saying before, and this might not be a popular view, But the actual best case scenario for this between Richmond, West Coast, and North Melbourne, the way we want it to play out, I think, is we want West Coast to beat us twice. We want us to beat North Melbourne twice. So that way, West Coast finish above Richmond and North Melbourne. And then if they get a priority pick, or if they get a pick for Allen leaving, then it won't be before our pick or North's pick. That's the key here. We want to have Richmond's pick and North Melbourne's pick ahead of West Coast pick, so that their compo pick can't knock us down another pick in the order. So that's how I want it to play out. And the funny thing is with the North and the West Coast games is they'll be penciling in those games as games they can win as well. Same as what we'll be doing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with those games. Yeah, Hopper's been really good, Mitch. Taranto's had some downish games at the start of the year, but he's been really good the last couple of weeks. Hopper would be very close to leading our best and fairest, and I'm so glad to see him fully fit and firing. He's been doing super. He's been really good. More 44s. That's a good goal, Trevor. I think people will definitely gravitate towards Seth Campbell. Trower, I remember Kaltumi speaking about Trainer during the trade period, and he essentially said that clubs are worried about it, but he wasn't, mainly due to the way concussion rules work in juniors. Yeah, so I believe that in juniors they have to sit out for, I think it's longer when they get concussion. So they're actually a bit more protective, it makes complete sense. We might get 4 more wins this year playing West Coast and North twice. I wouldn't mind dropping the West Coast games for the reasons I mentioned earlier. But there might even be other games we jag that we don't even expect, like we have so far. So other teams not penciling as stars. And that's a good point, Paul. I think if we can keep bringing the heat like we did against Gold Coast and like we did in the first half against Melbourne, teams will have to take us seriously. And if teams want to switch off and try and take the piss, then that's when we'll jump a couple of teams and hopefully sneak a few wins. The question mark's always about, though, can we play for 4 quarters? Probably not. Can we play for 3? Maybe. 2.5 to 3 quarters, we have to try and do the damage and then hold on. So we're just going to find different ways to win because we're just not at that stage to play 4 quarters. But I think we'll definitely sneak a few more wins this year. And I know pre-season there was obviously the commentary around us not winning a game. And I know a lot of us argued the point and we were pretty defiant in it. But I also think that deep down in our heart of hearts that there was for me as well, there was still genuine concern that, you know what, we may actually not win a game. Especially when you looked at our fixture, like the first 6 games were really tough games, no matter who you were. So the fact we were able to get 2 wins from that is pretty bloody good. It's pretty good. Yeah, I know. I was glad the game was at Casey because it's easy to get to for me, but I wouldn't have minded if it was at Beaconsfield. Although I'm not sure if that's much better these days with the wind. Or Dave the Dash is happy to take bets that we make the 8 in 2027. I'm loving your confidence, Dave. I'm digging it. Yeah, agree, Silent. If we become a North or a West Coast, something's gone wrong. And in a lot of ways, as much as it's probably painful for those 2 clubs, we can see in front of us how not to treat a rebuild and how not to do things. So hopefully we just kind of do our own thing. Who would I take as our first pick in this year's draft, Telly? It really depends on if we go to the draft with both picks or if we trade 1 pick for another player or not. If we go to the draft with both picks, I would try and take Duff Tytler as my first pick if he was available, and then I would pick a midfielder. So whether that's a Lindsay like we saw before, a Grill, or a Rodriguez, a Sharp, a Dersma, whatever the best available is at the time. If we go to the draft with just 1 pick and we've traded the other one for a midfielder, I'd probably still draft another midfielder, and then I would maybe have to look to trade or free agent another ruckman to cover Fernank when he retires. But there's probably a ton of other ways that we could do it. So keen to hear everyone's thoughts on that too. Dave, you reckon we'll smash West Coast? Look, we'll take a win, but I wouldn't be against them if they beat us twice for the pick reasons. Yeah, Jesse, you're right. Hopper's first few steps have looked explosive. It's without doubt the fittest he's been while being at Richmond. And I've seen a few people actually say that it looks like he's in a GWS jumper in ways of like his fitness and ball winning ability, which is really good to see. It's really good. Stephen, I believe 4 wins or less over 2 years qualifies for a priority pick. It's an interesting conversation, Stephen. Like, would we be cheeky enough to ask for a priority pick if we fell into the criteria? I would ask the question. Why not? Other teams managed to take the piss and get it, so why can't we? Even if we qualified, so say these 2 games we've won are the only 2 we win for the year, and we won 4 games in 2 years, which would well and truly qualify us. I still don't think they would give it to us because we had the 8 draft picks last year. I'd say I reckon we would. Yeah, I think you're right, Widescreen. It's pretty long. Yeah. That's an interesting comparison, Mark. Trying to remind you of James Hird being able to play back, forward, and midfield. I don't mind it. Can Miller be a key back in a competitive final side? Yep, 100%, Mitch. I know he has his moments, but I think back to a lot of 2024, he was in the top 10 or 15% defenders in the AFL, not just at the club, but the AFL, for having one-on-one contests or winning them. And he's been trending the same way this year. He's had a couple of down games. I think when he's got Bolter by his side, he goes to another level. He's got a bit more confidence. I think he does get a bit shaky when he has to be the main defender. Like, he dropped an easy uncontested mark the other night, and he made a few more errors. But when he's got Bolter there, I think he can definitely be one of the key backs in a final side. Yep, I do. Found this stat interesting, don't argue. We are the 3rd best kicking efficiency team in the comp, but we are 16th by handball. Are we really that? Wow. I would never, ever have guessed that we were the 3rd best kicking efficiency team. Is there any other thing around it? Like, is it in the middle half of the ground or all over? I find that fascinating. I would never have thought that at all. Vertex, is Lawler a high possession player, almost like Dusty? Not saying he is. No, I understand that. Well played. Look, I don't know. What if Lawler's going to be a 30 possession player. I think what Lawler's going to be, he might get the ball 24 times a game on average, let's say. But I think when he gets it, it's going to count. Like, it's going to be impactful and it's going to hurt teams. So if a player does that, we don't really need them to then get it 30 or 40 to 40 is a bit unrealistic, but you don't need to get it 30 or 35 times. If you can have 24 to 25 meaningful possessions, and I think that's just as good. So I'd be okay with that. Yeah, I reckon we will have a little cheeky look at the free agency, and we've got the cash, so why not? We've got the money to throw around. Just do it. Hoops, hey, mate, what do you think of Sam Lawler so far? What do you want to see for the rest of the year? So far, you can't not like him. Like, he does everything well, and it was really, really pleasing to hear the champion data stats that when he plays midfield minutes, he shoots the lights out in terms of efficiency and how he operates. The only thing I would love to see him kick it more than handball it because he's a beautiful kick of the ball, but his handballs are equally as damaging. Like, he's releasing players into space. He just picks the best option. He's composed. Like, even the Gold Coast game, I've mentioned it before, but late in that last quarter, when the pressure's right on, he gets the ball in the defensive Gold Coast, or in our defensive 50, and just runs backwards through traffic, finds a handball, like, didn't panic, didn't turn around and just blast kick it. Like, he actually just picked the right option. So in terms of what we want to see for the rest of the year, you'd love to see his midfield minutes increase. And by rounds 16 onwards, you'd want to see him starting in midfield and playing 60% midfield, 40% forward. He could also be cooked by then too, so that may not happen, but that would be my hope. That's a good point, Damien. Our draw definitely does get easier in those rounds 7 to 11. You're right. We'd love to at least win one of those. Even 2 would be nice. I mean, how good would it be to be at round 11 having already won 4 games? That'd be something. Lancelot, how will we get Callaway with our current picks? Well, we won't with our current picks because we've only got our pick in North Melbourne's first pick. And in my view, Callaway, I think, is currently sitting at between a 30 and 45 pick prospect. And he's doing well each week and maybe getting higher and higher. I think we'll have to either we will have to trade somewhere along the line to get more picks in. or if they're going to bring in being able to buy picks, if that was ever a thing. But we will have to bring something in to get him. Yep, absolutely. Unless we go into deficit or whatever that bullshit is. Telly, I'm keen on Duff Tytler and Grill as a point of difference in the speed in the midfield, more speed. That's probably the final piece to our midfield jigsaw puzzle is 100% adding speed. And Taj Houghton might have it. He might add it to there for us as well. But we need players with pace who can get on the outside and hurt people. That's what we need now. Silent Storm, I'm not sure. Does anyone know the answer to that? How many priority picks have North gotten? They pissed them up against the ball, though, didn't they? Lettuce, you think that West Coast and North are danger games? Agree. They have both played okay games, and they will, like I said, they will pencil in the Richmond game as a game that they can win, and as will we versus them. So it'll just be a matter of who handles the occasion better. Then, we can get the job done, I suppose. Miller looks better with Bolter. 100% he is. Yeah, it makes a noticeable difference. Yeah, we mentioned him a little bit, Trevor. That Gray didn't do a lot wrong. I was actually really disappointed that he got subbed. I personally would have subbed Morris Jr. Gray, I thought, played a really solid game. And that one-handed mark was really good. He showed lots of composure. I think he went at about 85-90% disposal efficiency as well. I can see him playing more AFL games in the future. And the beauty is that he can go forward as well. Like, he played forward for the VFL for Essendon, so he knows what he's doing there too. I think we'll see him more. I really liked him. I think he's going to be very unlucky this week in being dropped. Damien rests Toronto forward more. So it was interesting you say that, because I did see him play half forward a bit more later in the game. I think as the year goes on and some more midfielders come through, I reckon we might see that. Jesse Bolter didn't play because he had to do 3 hours up, 3 hours back to Albury for the court hearing, which would have taken a lot out of him, like mentally, with having to deal with all of that. And because of the shorter turnaround time as well, that Uze just decided to give him the week off, which I'm okay with. I think that's fine. Here's a question for everyone on Noah Bolter. Do we think it's still going to work out okay playing him, like dropping him in and out just based on the curfew, or will it be disruptive? What do people think? We're a safe kicking team. Yeah, I'm with you, JP. I want to see more dangerous kicks. And even if they don't come off, like, I would rather see us take a 45-degree kick to try and make something work. If it doesn't come off, shit happens. We'll learn from it, keep trying it. Then I would rather do that and turn it over than play safe and turn it over. I'm with you 100%. A few more tackles from Lawler. True. I think it's really it's a hard one, isn't it, though, Trevor? Because playing on our half-forward line would be really difficult to get involved in. And so he's either got to play... I think the trend's been when he's played more midfield minutes, he's got more disposals. So there's a pretty direct correlation there. But when he's playing half-forward, he's not getting as many disposals. But then, to your point, then needs to try and find a way to get more involved. No, I don't reckon Smiley will debut next week. I reckon he'll debut for the West Coast game. The Hawks game will be a really tough game, and I think he still needs to put in another week of higher time on ground minutes at the VFL before being exposed at AFL level. I still think his match fitness is maybe just off a notch, but I think we'll target the West Coast game. So we'll see how he goes. Yeah, exactly right. Dusty was never a 40 or 30 every week. Yeah, in terms of the Dusty comparison, without saying they're going to be the same, I get what you mean, but Lawler will be a more impactful disposal player like what Dusty was. I definitely agree. Yeah, Blight was unlucky. I think Blight only really got dropped because they felt that Samson Ryan would offer more from a ruck perspective. And yeah, now it just might be tricky to find his way back in. So that might be difficult for him. Like Corn said on SEN, Lawler moves like a star. Gee, that's nice to get some praise from Kane Corns. Jesus, that's rare territory. Gee, Paul, that's a big early call that Lawler will be better than Dusty. That's a ginormous call. Only because a lot of that hedges on us being successful too. I don't mind it. I'm all for big calls. That's a huge one. Huge. Yeah, exactly. Locking like 51 and 37 and didn't hurt us. Dusty got 21 and 14 and his impact was huge. It's a fair point. Very, very fair point. Looks the Brown and Trainer being sub, I can understand because it was all to do with the shorter breaks and just rather than fully dropping them, make him sub. The Trainer one, however, given he only came on for like 4 minutes, I would have just picked someone else. But the Bauer one is sub. I don't think that's the right play for the sub role either. I think it's a bit of an odd choice to have a medium-sized forward. I think you'd always rather an extra midfielder, really. That's how I would play it. What other rookie do you want to see play by end of the year? I don't know. I don't think this will happen. I wouldn't mind seeing a Hayes Brown get some ruck time at some stage. He's a long way off it, but he might be closer to it at the end of the year. Just for exposure. Like, we've got nothing to lose, right? We're not competing for finals, so why not give him a taste of AFL football at some stage and just see what happens? I agree, JP. And he can, like you said, he can do it at either end. Average 2 goals. I think he definitely shows AFL traits, and we'll see himself playing some more AFL in the future. Who is that in relation to, Isaac? Is that Trainer or Brown with the 3 to 4 games? Yeah, Trainer's a lovely kick. Again, he's another one that you want to see kick the ball a bit more. Just got to check my Supercoach scores as Freo have just got the Chockies against the Crows. Rankin ended up on 119. Very good. Rory led 99, beat his score, and Bolton 104. Very nice. That is what I want to see. How am I going head to head though? Very good. My projected's 1,098. For clarity, that's for a draft comp. We've only got 15 players, so that's not my main team with everyone on the park. That's good. Very nice. Definitely need to play Bolton when allowed. Yeah, agree. It's going to give opportunity to other players though, so that's a good thing too, I guess. Bolton missing's fine, especially because we have so many defenders. True. Very true. You reckon, Rocco? You reckon we'll get better as the season gets on? I hope so. My concern is that we might drop off a bit just with being tied with the kids. And I won't be surprised that happens, but I would love for it to go your way. And look, maybe there's something in your comment. I mean, because we've got so many kids to pick from, if we're rotating them through, maybe we can keep them a bit fresher. So maybe we can actually draw it out a bit longer. It's a good call. Smiley for Dreamtime. I mean, if it's not the West Coast game, then Dreamtime would make sense as well. Yeah, Leo, good shout. I reckon Sims will get a crack this year as well. Like, here's another one. He doesn't get bulk amount of the ball, does he? But shooting cracks in the packs hard. I love watching that. I think he might get a crack later on in the year. Again, we may as well give them a taste of it. And I know they've got to earn it. You don't want to just hand out token games. But yeah, I would like to see him get a crack later on in the year too. He could, Vertex. Yeah, I think he's showing some really good signs when he's getting more midfield minutes. Very keen for that. Kane Corns picked Lawler over Reed. God damn. I mean, based on attitude and effort, it's probably fair enough, though. Andrew, yeah, I agree. In some ways, like, I love what Jonty Fall's been doing. Would Blight offer more than Jonty Fall playing the same spot? Maybe. Like, Blight flies for his marks a lot more, a bit more physically advanced and developed than Jonty Fall. So he could. And then he can back up Ruck then as well if he's playing forward. I just really hope we settle on a role for Blight. Like, you don't want to get into no man's land. Like, that's the issue that we run. Appreciate everyone jumping on tonight as well, guys. I appreciate all the love and support. If you haven't yet subscribed on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. There should be a little YouTube symbol on the bottom right side of the screen that's slightly faded. You can click on that and it should give you a little subscribe button. Appreciate all love. We're on the charge for 2,700. But the situation is we just have to play when we can. I agree, Nathan. I agree. We're just going to play when we can for sure. I did see Crutch be a Brownlow medalist in his first year. I'm not too concerned about Lawler being a low possession player. I mean, even if he gets 15, I would hazard a guess that the 15 are going to be impactful. So I think he'll be more than that. I don't think he'll average 15. I think he'll average more around the 25 mark, I reckon, 24, 25. He did, Damien. His game against Frankston wasn't good. That's a good point. It's annoying because he only really lost his spot because I think we felt Samson Ryan could ruck better. And he just hasn't been able to make it back in. So very annoying. Yeah, is utilities the right play to have as a sub though? Like I'd almost rather see a Kane McAuliffe as a sub, even though it shit me to tears last year. I think I'd rather have it. Yeah, it was for sure. I'll definitely join you for a live whenever you do one. Yep, no dramas whatsoever. All for it. JP, you reckon we'll win a minimum of 5 and could win 7? Imagine that, JP. Imagine we get 7, like the higher end of your scale. What does everyone else think on that? How many wins do you really realistically think we can get this year, given that we're already on 2 at the 7-round mark? 7 will be massive. Like, honestly, in the context of everything, that would be huge. Jesse, I do think because we'll play this year, it might not be until like rounds 15, 16, 17 onwards. I think it's important that he plays some games, but that's only if his body's right and letting him do so. And I know we're being extra cautious with him, and that's okay. I don't mind us being cautious with him, but I expect him to play. Yeah. If he doesn't play, then maybe some alarm bells start to ring. But yeah, hopefully he will. That's it. They're a dime a dozen, Rational. Agree. Yeah, so it's interesting, Lettuce. Like now that I've been thinking about it a bit more with the later in the year piece, you're right. Like other teams do tend to tire later in the year. And maybe we are in a bit of a unique position where we get to rotate kids around a bit more. So we might have some fresher legs at the end of the year that other teams may not have. We might have some more enthusiasm, some fresher legs. It's a fascinating thing to think about, actually. I do remember Riley Collier-Dawkins. Yeah, he promised the world, didn't we, getting him, but just didn't eventuate. Could we see Brown and Hugo Ralsmith as quick goal-kicking wingers who can take a grab? Look, I think Hugo Ralsmith is locked in as a winger. I think he's done really well since coming back into the side. His pace is good. He's a nice mark overhead, breaks the lines, tackles well. I think he's a lock. Would Tom Brown play the other wing? I mean, we know Uze wants to have Trezise out there being a left footer. Trezise is doing okay. I don't think you would replace him there just yet. Tom Brown, I think, would be someone who could play at half forward as well, maybe. But I'm so torn because we do need the drive off half back. Like we really miss Dan Rioli. So we need someone to do that running half back and be that distributor. So maybe he's got to look to do that potentially as well. Yeah, I'm with you, Tally. I've been ultra impressed with Uze's press conferences recently. Probably all of this year, to be honest. Not even just recently, but the whole year. His messaging's been really good. The way he's spoken's been really more defined and definite. Even the way he backed Noel Bolter. Like, again, everyone knows and the club know and everything that what he did was stupid and wrong. But the way I thought personally, the way they handled the situation was really good. I'm glad they ended up playing him. I'm glad he did a week in the VFL first. But the way that he answered the questions about Bolter at these midweek press conferences, I thought he's handled himself really well. I've been super impressed with him. Really have been. I think Gipkis can 100% play forward this year, as can Gray. We might see Gray do it sooner than we think, potentially. Or Isaac, that's a good question. What's our best key forward duo when everyone's healthy? Lafau, Lynch. I think it's really important that we see what Lafau and Lynch look like together as a duo because we didn't see it last year. Lafau came in because Lynch was out, so he was having to play the main man, which he's not equipped to do at this stage. So I'm very keen to see Lafau play as a second forward. I think we get off the chain. I think I would love to see Lafau, Lynch, and Jonty Fall play, and I'm only saying that because Harry Armstrong's injured. I would have him first, but he's not going to play. So I would roll with Lafau, Lynch, and Jonty Fall, and just see how that works for a little bit. I wouldn't mind seeing that. RC, how are you, buddy? Unsure if this has been covered, but I'd like to see us stick with the four amigos, Mansell, Green, MJ, and Seth. They all looked exhausted last night. 9 days off will do them the world of good. Yeah, we just had a collective shit one, didn't we? All of them had a really crap night at the same time, which was far from ideal. But 3 games in 11 days is bloody tough. Like, that's a big ask for any team, let alone a young team. So I kind of don't blame him. And I agree. I would like to see that again for another 2 weeks to see how it works. But then I also like the appeal of 3 tools as well. What a hard job it is to get that mix right, though, honestly. What a hard mix. Harry, I can't begin to describe how interesting that would make my life if we beat Hawthorn. Like, my wife's Hawthorn, her family. And I don't give them shit about football because I know that we've been bad and we're going to be bad for a little while to come. There's more about just one other mate in a group chat, in a work group chat, that would make things very interesting for him if we happen to win that game. It'd be very, very interesting. 4-7 wins. Yeah, Sean, I just wanted to do a Q&A because I know that during the Monday night shows, we used to do a bit of a segment where people would send questions through. And I know we answer stuff on the fly now, but I feel like we're getting like detailed into more other topics. I wanted to give everyone a chance to ask questions tonight. Just something a bit different. Actually, Sandy reckon we'll win 6 to 8 games. God damn. Could you imagine if we walked away with 8 wins this year? Imagine. Or Essendon, we can't undersell Essendon. I reckon they'll do okay against us. But I'm hoping we jag a few wins against other teams that we don't expect. You can just about pencil in Trezise and Hugo as our wingers, Banks and Camden as the third rotation. I'm okay with Hugo. Trezise, I'm happy to see how it unfolds, most definitely. Vertex Smiley, look, he was the leading disposal getter for us in the VFL. I think he had about maybe 75% efficiency. Like I said, the win was horrendous. So some of his kicks were helicopters. His handballs hit targets, though. And in the previous couple of games, he was pretty effective. He's a monster. Like, he's a big bastard, right? He is huge. When he's standing next to his opponent, he's literally a head and shoulders above his opposition midfielder. I'm just wondering if he's someone who might learn more at AFL level than VFL level as well. But I just think his match fitness is slightly off. So I think he needs to play. I'd like to see him play 80% game time for a VFL game before putting him into AFL. That's where I think we're at. Rocco, agree, mate. Banks has been good. That's a good call. JP, 5 should be minimum. We play North twice, West Coast twice, Essendon twice, and St Kilda. I think the Saints have definitely got our measure. North and West Coast, you would like to at least go 1-1 for both of those, if not win both on both fronts. What type of player? I think we definitely have to get a midfielder. If we take 2 picks of the draft, I reckon we're going to go, I would go Duff Tytler and then a midfielder. I wouldn't also be against 2 midfielders. I just think we'd then have to trade for a ruck at some point in time to cover ourselves. Widescreen. This is one of the most important points made tonight, I reckon. It feels like Uze's team now. And I think that was a big, big thing last year. And this is why I'm the way my mentality is, I'm rating this as Uze's first year. I'm not counting last year because last year, in my opinion, it wasn't really Uze's team. There was still a lot of dimmerisms left over, if you want to call it that. There was his assistants that were left over that we couldn't put to one side. A lot of players were obviously checked out and moving on. And Uze didn't seem like he was in control or, was the main man last year, as odd as that sounds. I think it's definitely now his team. I'm with you fully there. Yeah, Gray potentially does play next week if Lynch misses. That's a good point. Birdman, hey, mate. Do you think Jonty or Armstrong can replace Lynch as the key big man? Are they big enough? Long-term, yes. Short-term, no. They're obviously just far too inexperienced and not solid enough to do it short-term. Long-term, Jonty Fall can absolutely do it. And I think Armstrong can too, to be honest. Because they bash and crash. Like, they're so physical. They're just big, big people who will thrive on the physicality. And I think long-term, they definitely can. That will be your new Rewalt and Lynch is what the hope is. Duff Tytler could as well. If we can somehow get him. Brown for sub was confusing. I think it was just a managing of minutes thing. I think that's all it was. It was just managing of minutes. JP would go Lynch, Lafau, Fall, or Fall, Bauer, Armstrong. Jake, I think our backline is solid with Gibcus, Bolter, Trainer, Vlosten, Short, Broad, Brown, Miller. Scary backline, I think. Agree. And like, we've kind of been a little bit lucky, Jake, that our backline's probably been our strongest part of the ground for a couple of years now and the most stable. Like last year, our forward line was completely decimated and we're still struggling there now. Our midfield was decimated last year. We've got that back, but we're still trying to work it out, how it all looks for us. But our backline has stayed rather consistent. The only thing that's probably missing from that back line is a really genuine offensive rebounder. I know we all think and want Short to do that, but he's just not displaying it currently. And we all want Brown to do that as well. And maybe it's just a development and a confidence thing. But we just need one of them to really step into Dan Rioli's shoes and be that driving force off halfback. Like you look at your Dan Rioli's, your Dan Houstons, your Bowies from Melbourne who torched us last night. Like you look at those guys and how prolific they are of halfback. That's what we need. The halfback is such a big position, and I just don't think we've got someone who's doing that role to the best of its ability at the moment. So I reckon that's a big need for us. And if we can't have someone develop into that within our own team, we need to acquire someone to do it. This is what it's all about, Paul. 110% is exactly what this is all about. In hindsight, Leo, we probably could have rested a few more, but he had a great game against Gold Coast, so I think it was warranted to run him through again. I think it was fair enough. Yeah, that's disappointing to hear, Alexander. The people yelling at Jonty and Lawler. I mean, they're kids. They're going to miss goals. They're going to miss targets. The senior guys are going to miss goals and miss targets. I think that's a really shit thing to hear, to be honest. So that's a bit disappointing. T, you reckon we'll win 6 to 7 games this year, then 10 or 11 and make finals in 2027? Giddy up. Agree, we need a fast midfielder. Agree. Hey, how are you, Tony? What's going on? I know. No, it was great to meet you too, mate. It was a shit game. It was tough. You can see I'm still burnt from it. I'm with you on Elgar. I know we spoke about him, but I'm very keen to see him sooner rather than later. Very keen. Oh, you didn't come and say hi, RC. Jesus. How dare you? It was very hurricane and windy. How big did he look, though? Like, when he's lining up on those midfielders, he is head and shoulders above them. It's so funny. Yeah, and, like, the game plan does seem a bit hot and cold. And I think sometimes our game plan can be dictated to by the opposition and what they're doing. And I think we need to often remember that as well. I'd still love to see the kids play on instinct. And I think Uze could be torn on it because I know that was a very Dimmer thing to do. Just play to your strengths, play on instinct. And I'm guessing Uze wants to have his own stamp on it. But there's a lot of merit in it as well, I guess, as well. I'm not sure if Lynch will play this week. It seems like he might. It seems like. Yeah, well, I know. Get some grippo out to him, 100%. Yeah, and similar to Harry Armstrong, though, RFC, it wasn't that long ago that we remember that Harry Armstrong wasn't clunking all of the grabs. He was dropping a couple. But he persisted. And then all of a sudden, he got some really good reward. Kicked 2 goals late in one of the games and then obviously did the hammy, which was really shit timing. Jonty will be the same. He'll keep persisting with it and it'll eventually click for him and he'll get some good reward. Yeah, T, I think we're all putting in a lot of hope for Houghton. I love him. I love him based off a highlight reel. That's how stupid that sounds. I love what I think he's going to bring to the side. Without wanting to put pressure on the kid. Yeah, he's going to be special. All good, Nathan. This is why I wanted to do it, because everyone's got so many good opinions and things to say, and we just can't get through everything on a Monday night. So I thought it was important to do something like this to give everyone a platform to throw some ideas. Out of interest, guys, would you be keen to have more lives like this where it's just a Q&A where you can throw out questions, throw out ideas, and we can just talk about footy? I'm happy to do more of these. Like I said, I just felt guilty that we weren't able to get to more questions during the Monday night shows because we go into a bit more detail now. But I'm happy to keep doing them if people are enjoying it. Lettuce, good point. Uze was stressed last year. And we've got to remember too, Uze's still a young coach, right? He's still very inexperienced as a senior coach. He obviously did very well at Melbourne as an assistant. And for what it's worth, if you didn't watch Behind Frenemy Lines with Adrian from the debrief, he was fantastic. I asked him about Uze and his time at the D's, and the Melbourne supporters have nothing but good things to say about Uze. And there's even a stat going around that the record with Uze at the club is far greater than Uze not being there. And they always felt he was the eyes and the brains behind a lot of the going-ons at the Ds. So that gives me great hope and comfort knowing that they rate him so highly. So that's a really good thing. It's a really good thing. Dersma for half-back, Peter. Oh, interesting. Yeah, exactly right. They're not Bashahuli roll, and Stephen is spot on. They're not fast enough. We that's why Rielly's the biggest miss. We just need someone to electrify things down there. So rationale, in 2010, when Dimmer took over, we began with 9 heavy losses. By 2012, we were thumping both grand final teams. This team will replicate Dimmer's teams, mark my words. I like it. Lindsay will be around picked 8 to 10. He's looking good running half-back. Yeah, we were watching his stuff before. And he could definitely do that. We just need someone with the balls to take off those meteor kicks, don't we? Kid, how are you? We need a speedy halfback for sure. True. And yeah, so like that Grill and Lindsay could definitely be prospects to play off halfback to start their career, like what Sheasel and Dacos did. I guess you may not get the continuity or the consistency out of a draftee doing it than you would an experienced player. I just don't know what other halfbacks will be available. Like Gold Coast, I know they got Rioli, but they also got Noble, who torched us. He's been really good as well. Like, I don't know who we could poach, but we need someone. If Brown and or Short aren't going to step up and do the role how we need it done, then we'll have to find someone else. I hope he's going to be a Tiger for life. I hope so. Yeah, agree, JP. We need to get the halfback game up and running very, very quickly. Taj to start as a high half forward initially? I think so. But then, we're going to have so much competition for spots, which is good. But if he's eyeing off half forward, Matt, we're going to have Seth Campbell, Steely Green, Ryan Mansell, Morris Jr., Taj Houghton, Juddy Clark potentially as well, Jasper Elgar, like 7 players fighting for the half forward, which is a great problem to have, don't get me wrong. But this is where I hope he can transform himself into a midfielder as well. Yeah, Jake, look, his kicking did let him down, but, I mean, as you would know from being there, the ball was almost getting blown out of their hands off the boot before they could even kick it. I'm personally okay to give forgiveness for the skills for the Casey Fields game. It was that shit, the conditions. I'm happy to let that stuff slide. What I couldn't let slide was the lack of effort, because it doesn't matter how windy it is, you can still chase people. Oh, if we get, Richo's daughters playing AFLW, they will be killing it. They'll be killing it. Sounds good, mate. Just hit me up whenever you're ready to go, for sure. I know, Durham looked good today, didn't he? He looked very good today. But make it a permanent thing. No, we can do that. Kid, I think Ed Richards is about to sign for Bulldogs, which I'm shattered about. As a lot of you know, I was hot on the Ed Richards case for a while, but it sounds like he's going to sign with the Doggies, so I'm a bit bummed about that, to be honest. Oh, that's good. You all think it's a great idea. Very good. I'm just catching up through the comments, so if I'm a bit behind, I apologise. T, do I think there's a world where we throw one of our top 5 picks and pick 13 for Butters? I think we'll, I don't know. I'm kind of flip-flopping on this. Like, I initially said that I felt that he was maybe out of our age range, like 2 years too old, but he's only 24, as someone pointed out earlier. If he wanted to come to us and he was okay to be in our environment, knowing where we are now, and it's going to take a couple of years, if you're picking between Reed and Butters, you're taking Butters every day of the week at this moment, for sure. And he will help fast-track our midfield in a big way. And look, I still wouldn't give up both of our picks from this year. I would give up 1 pick from this year and 1 from a future. And if you have to throw in a player or swap the seconds, and so be it. But I think I would do more to get Butters than I would to get Reed at this point in time. Houghton is half-back. Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting prospect. Wouldn't mind it. That could look good. Paul, we need to win 6 to 8 games so Butters and Reed will want to start thinking of coming to us. So from the Harley Reid perspective, we've been told from a few different people that the win-loss situation doesn't matter so much for him. It's more about what kind of culture do you have? Do you have a winning mentality? Have you got the right people in place? Which I think we tick those boxes. So I don't think we would miss out on Harley Reid because of the results. Butters, I'm not sure about. If it's the same situation, but you're right though. If we can show that we're progressing, if we can show that we're competitive and we're heading the right way, that all of a sudden becomes an attractive prospect to players who may not necessarily we once thought we could get. Yeah, he looked okay. He just didn't get a lot of the ball, but yeah, obviously the biggest thing for him was getting through it, wasn't it, RSC? So hopefully he gets some more minutes next week. Dave, I think that Juddy Clark maybe tried in the halfback role at some point, potentially. He was on the wing in the VFL game, but Juddy's got a good left shoe and he's got some good wheels, and I wouldn't be against seeing it. I appreciate that, Nathan. We'll happily do it. Yeah, and I suppose, Harry, there's always the temptation to copy the game plans that work. Like, it makes sense. But then you do have to realize at some point in time, you've got to play to your own strengths. So I think it's important to do that. Move Mansell could have a run down back. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, Taranto and Hopper are embracing the handball game. Yeah, you're right. We just need that outside mid, and that's where Butters would be elite for us, wouldn't he? He would be very good. Is Butters truly a chance to leave Port though? Like, is that almost in concrete? What are we thinking? Oh, Jake, what are my thoughts on Sonzi? My gosh. I'm really scared that we'll lose Sonzi and he will go to I'm plucking GWS out of nowhere, but he'll go to someone like the Giants, play in their midfield as a second or third midfielder and smash it. That's how I'm thinking it will play out. It still doesn't make sense to me why we aren't playing him in the midfield, given how well he does at VFL level, excluding the Casey game where they all shit the bed. But yeah, he could be one that gets away. And I personally would not blame him if he wanted to seek other opportunities to get more midfield time. I wouldn't blame him in the slightest. So, hot call, but I don't want Harley Reid at Richmond, so the attention focus on Sam. I wouldn't be too worried about that too much. If anything, it'll allow Sam or Lawler to play better, potentially. Could Jasper Elgar play half back? I don't know. I like him more at half forward. I mean, I think until we find the person to play the role, it's worth trying something, I guess, isn't it? I don't think we should shut off any idea. That's an interesting point as well, widescreen. So I have heard a couple of different whispers that we may consider Hinkley as a director of coaching type role. Now, I don't know if I was meant to say that out loud or not, but that's what had been floated by a few different people. And so it's a good point you make that if we get him as a director of coaching or a coach department type role, the Butters thing then maybe becomes more viable. It's a really good point. Yeah, and like I didn't even mean that link with GWS, but that's a good point. That makes sense too. And that's the tough thing, Isaac, isn't it? And you're right that he hasn't fully impressed at AFL level, but he hasn't played in the position that he impresses in at VFL level. And like we said last week, that if we're going to pick a player to come into the side to play half forward, pick Elgar, the guy who can play half forward, as his main position in the VFL. Don't pick the midfielder and hope that he can pull it off. Like it doesn't make sense. And I've got no issue with Sonzi not being in the starting midfield for the start of a game. I've got no troubles with that. My issue is when we're 40 or 50 points down and the game's cooked, why not put him in there? Why not put Seth Campbell or Ryan Mansell in there? Give him a go. Try and find a spark, because we're often just going through the motions by that stage with the same guys in there all the time. Why not try something different and give them a chance to see what they can do? That's the part that I don't quite understand. He did play VFL yesterday, and honestly, they were all shit. It sounds really brutal, but they were all bad. That game is one of those games that you would call a mulligan and just you won't look at ever again. It was horrible. Could Sonzi play off the half-back line? I don't think he could, because I think from what we hear, part of the reasons why he's not playing in the midfield at AFL level is they're worried about the defensive side of his game. So on that metric, he wouldn't work on the half-back line. Unfortunately, I don't think he would. Butters and Rowell are proven. Reid hasn't as yet. Look, yeah, I mean, that's true. Reid was proven a little bit last year, but you would expect him to go on with it this year. And he's gone backwards if we're being realistic, aren't we? But similar to Bolton and Baker, maybe he's checked out, which isn't a good thing. Like you still need to have you still need to have that element of professionalism. Like you look at Dan Rioli, for all we know, he might have known halfway through or even the start of the year that he was leaving the next year, and he still busted his ass week in, week out and won our best and fairest. That's the type of player you want playing at your club. If they're going to leave and you're going to pick them up, you want to still see them put in the hard yards for their current team. I think that was a really good way for Dan Rioli to go out, to be honest. That's it. It's all about making ourselves a destination club. That's bang on. Well, Birdman, if we're talking about my theoretical scenario of when the game's cooked and we're 40 or 50 points down, play Tim Taranto at half forward. He played that role at GWS, so he knows what he's doing there. It's another experienced head there. Good goal sense. I would play Taranto at half forward, Sonzi in the midfield. When the game's cooked, when the game starts, fine. Like, go with what we know works. I've got no issue with that. My gut feel, kid, is I do think Prestia will retire before the mid-season draft. You just got to look at the injury report. It's gotten worse for him. Like, it's been 3 to 4 weeks for about 5 weeks now, and now it's TBC. I feel bad for him because he deserves a better way to go out, but it just seems like his body's not holding up. Maybe we'll get proven wrong. I would love to see him come back and play. I just don't know whether his body's going to allow it, unfortunately. The only thing I can think of, Lettuce, is it must be something to do with defensive pressure. And if it is that, I can understand it. But then I'm also like, if we're 40 points down, we're clearly not doing that anyway. So we're not really missing out if he does go in there. So that's where, to me, doesn't make sense. But as EJ said as well, and Grok, Uze's not the first coach to not put him there. There's been a couple of others. So there's something happening. There's something he needs to be doing that he's not to get himself in there, but none of us know what it is. Yeah, that's possibly right, RFC. And you know, even if that was the case, that's why I still think I'm wrapped with how he played out the year, and it's a credit to him, to be honest. Luke Trainer could most definitely be the steal of the draft by end of the year. Yep. Teams might not know it yet if they don't watch us play, but by end of year, I think teams will be like, shit, we should have taken that kid. He'll be absolutely a steal. Absolutely. Yeah, Timmy Taranto did have some good goals. Yep. He can play half forward well, Tim Taranto, but I mean, that's why he left the Giants, because he didn't think he was a half forward. He thought he was a midfielder. Yeah, we're only playing there sparingly, I guess. Yeah, Tracy, geez, he smashed us the other week, didn't he? I mean, the other one, if you're talking about Cadman, potentially, Grok has still maintained that we've held interest in Cadman. I don't know how that would pan out, though, because we've got, just because of who we drafted. Like, we just drafted Jonty Fall, Armstrong, Sims. We've got Fawcett in the background still. So getting Cadman in, I'm really torn. Like, Lynch isn't going to be around forever, but I don't think even Cadman's at Lynch's ability yet in terms of being able to command a number one defender and really control a forward line. He's probably still a bit too young, but he's more advanced than those other guys. So he's kind of that in-between player. Maybe would everyone think there's still a spot in the side for a Cadman if we were to go after him? What does everyone think? Yeah, it was good seeing Timmy in some different spots. Well, that's the big question, Birdman. If say we get a spot due to whether it's Prestia or Armstrong on the inactive list, whatever it might be, like, Massimo Rasso is probably the best available, but my question to you is, will we then have two? Like, if we picked up Rasso, is he going to get a game at AFL level ahead of Steely Green, Seth Campbell, Maurice Rioli, Ryan Mansell, players like that? Or is he just going to be picked up on the main list to play VFL still? That's what I think we have to work out. Or would someone like, is it Tom McCarthy, who plays halfback and provides run and drive, would he be a better target? Because positionally, he might actually have a greater impact for the team because he might get a game in a more prolific position rather than Razzo. And the shit thing is even if we did go that way, you can bet your bottom dollar that Razzo will go somewhere else and kill it. But I just worry that because of the small and medium forwards we've already got, will he get a game ahead of them, or will he be kept out and be in and out, and just still playing VFL? He did say that, Uze, and I can't help but feel he was wrong. That sounds awful to question the head coach. But it just doesn't align with what Serpil's been saying at all. Yeah, that's true, Jake. I think we're all keen to see how Bolter, Blight, Gibcus, Trainer all play together. That's your future right there, isn't it? That's your future. We do need a ruck for the future. Not sure what we're going to do in that space, but Sims could do it. But it feels like if Ryan doesn't come on, Hayes Brown's probably still too young and not developed enough, as is Kalina, as is Sims. So if Ryan doesn't come on how we need him to when Nate retires, we will need someone else to come in and do that role. I still think we're holding out hope for Ryan. Maybe it eventuates, maybe it doesn't. But yeah, I think we're holding out hopes. Yeah, Cadman's is showing some good traits and some good signs. I'm just not sure how he fits us for the now. But well, that's right. We may not even have the first pick when it comes to the mid-season. McCarthy probably does fit our needs more than what Razzo does, but there's a lot of appeal to Razzo. And to your second point, yeah, we'll miss out on one of them. I think, though, based on needs, that we probably would be better off with McCarthy, to be honest. I mean, Verdicts, that's another option too. If he feels he's got another year in him still, then yeah, you would move him to the inactive list. That's a good point too. I think either way, there'll be a discussion had. McCarthy's in our VFL side. So he's, let me bring up the stats from the last game. Tom McCarthy, he had 24 disposals, 3 marks, 2 tackles the other week in the VFL. So he's doing some work off the half back line. So it could be someone to look at there. Yeah, which other rucks are there though? I'm not too sure. Dave, regarding our trading out of players last year, I think the club quietly shopped them around, basing this off us telling Tash Houghton that we would draft him after he did his knee. Who do you reckon we shopped around, though? Do you mean the players that left, or do you mean other players? Have we looked at Tom De Koning? Look, I would be disappointed if we didn't ask the question. I think ultimately, though, we're not going to have the money to offer that St Kilda. I mean, sorry, we will have the money, but what St Kilda's offering is ridiculous. I just think that if he's going to move for the financial gain, he's going to St Kilda. But I would be hoping that we've at least asked the question. Yeah, agreed, Dave. I think we can sort of, have a ready-made ruck a little bit easier than some other positions for sure. Isaac, agree. And that's why McCarthy probably fits the bill from a mid-season draft. Can he come in and play at AFL level? That's the million-dollar question. But we currently don't have that really attacking, creating option off halfback. Short should be doing it, but he's not. Brown, I think, can do it, but he's not currently. Maybe he will. Yes, we still need to find that. Good question, Jake. Who will be our next captain after Nank? Well, I think a lot of us thought it was going to be Taranto this year. I'm now personally glad that they kept Nank. I know he's probably made a lot of us eat some humble pie, which was good. I think the question sort of becomes, will Nank keep playing on in a couple of years, or how many years does he have left? Taranto could still potentially be a candidate. Vlosten's probably going to be too old. Broad will be too old. Lynch will be too old. Prestia may not be playing. So it kind of falls back to Taranto. And then I think after him, it's either if you brought in someone like Butters, would you consider Butters straight off the bat? And that could be problematic being a new player. I don't know. Or you're waiting for someone like Lawler, Smiley, players who are still relatively unknown in that sense with what they'll do. But yeah, I still think Taranto is probably next in line, I feel anyway. Unless Seth Campbell, I don't know, Seth Campbell might come on. That's probably a bit hit and hope, to be honest. Draper contract ends. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. Can we afford to have Nank and TDK in the same system? I think we can, because TDK can play forward. Like, he would actually be another really good forward option who can take a very good contested mark to partner Lynch. So I actually think we could. He would be a very big upgrade on what we want Samson Ryan to do. TDK would do in spades. I just don't know whether we would be able to afford it. If Gawn can play till he's 33, Nank's probably a bit more physical and bash and crash than Gawn, though. That probably takes a bit more of a toll on his body. Mitch Cleary posted about the mid-season draft that it'll be about percentage. Really? I did not know that. So whoever's got the worst percentage gets the pick. Interesting. If I'm Tom Lynch, I think that you would be going on year-to-year contracts. You could maybe ask for 2, but you'd want to see body of work in terms of getting... If he plays 15 or 16 games this year, maybe ask for 2. But other than that, I think you'd have to go year-to-year, I reckon. Yeah, we did well with the Nank deal. We definitely did. So even that... is it Ned Moyle from Gold Coast? He could be one we could look at, potentially. Ray, welcome. With all the surplus we have in tall forwards, who do I think will be the first to be delisted / traded? It's hard because it's all based on potential, isn't it? With who we would keep. I think we would be more inclined to keep Fall Trainer ahead of Bauer. So if you're thinking of one that was going to be on the move, I reckon it might be Bauer. But I don't know whether he is classified as a tall forward. Is he more of a medium forward? It depends how you classify him. Who would everyone else trade? Because we're sort of going to have the same problem for forward and defence, aren't we? It's a good point. Taranto would be a good captain. Yeah, I think he's all of those things you said. Emotionally smart, articulate. No, Nank's definitely been huge for us. Yeah, I like Bauer too. I'm just not sure if he's able to show enough consistently at the level. I just don't know. But again, I don't know whether he's a key forward or a medium forward. He shows signs that he can do stuff at AFL level, but then he'll just try and take mark of the year every second grab, and it doesn't really eventuate. I think we'll still give him some time to develop and grow. I don't think we'll make a call on him too soon, but. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean, he's struggling to break into the side now, isn't he? Fawcett's the other one. Yeah, Fawcett's a good call. I think Fawcett, I would be very reluctant to get rid of Fawcett until we've played him long enough in the AFL to see if he'll make it or not. I really like what Fawcett does. Who do I want out for next week's game? I don't think it's a case of wanting someone out. I think Campbell Gray is going to be extraordinarily unlucky. I think he'll go out for Bolter. Will there be other changes? It's really hard because the VFL was so bad. Smiley won't come in, I don't think. I'm trying to think who else would be. McAuliffe might get a call. I don't know. There's not really any other reason why we would change the side. It was that bad. It was horrible. It's horrible. Hey, Cam, how are you, mate? We went through your mock draft earlier. No, that's all right. We went through your draft and we watched some of the footage of Grill and Lindsay. So we had a look at some of their highlights or whatever, thanks to the Footy Stuff YouTube channel. But it's interesting. I'll bring it back up quickly now that you're here so you can talk about it. So you got the Eagles finishing last. Why has Grill shot up in your rankings and Josh Lindsay? I was still pretty hot on Dersma and Rodriguez. But yeah, they've obviously landed at different spots on your list. So I'll wait for you to post up some reasoning of that for us. G'day, Riley. Not too sure yet. So I shot him a text the other day and we still haven't landed on a date and time yet. There's not obviously that long left until the game comes out. So I'm expecting it would have to be next week. But I haven't got anything confirmed as yet. That's not to say that they haven't had other people go through yet. Maybe on the last cab off the rank. I don't know. But hopefully it's next week. Could Lawler start in the ball against the Hawks? Why not? Why not start him in the midfield? Play against Warple and Nash is missing, but yeah, players like that. I'm with you, Ray. Still dying on the hill that Sondy needs to play in the midfield for consecutive games to get the best out of him. I'm with you 110%, mate. I think we are doing ourselves a disservice if we don't do this. Because like I said before, there's nothing more certain that he will go somewhere else and kill it. So I'm with you 100%. So Cam, just quickly, so one of the things we were throwing out there before, with Sam Grill and or Josh Lindsay, if we were to draft them as per your mock on the screen now, could either one of them potentially play as an attacking halfback role? Because we don't really have a genuine attacking halfback like what Dan Rioli was. Like Short's not doing it, Brown's not doing it. Do you think either of them could do it kind of like what Sheasel and Dacos were doing in their first years? I'm not saying that they're going to be a Sheasel or a Dacos player, but you know what I mean. With that type of role, could that be something they could do? It looked like in the academy game that Lindsay was doing that a little bit against our VFL team. Okay, Lindsay for sure. Almost certain Lindsay will start off as a halfback. And like I said, that's what it looked like he did in the academy game against our VFL side. So in a lot of ways, that becomes more appealing. And then the other question I was asking as well, obviously there'd be maybe more of a long-term view for Lindsay to play midfield. Is there more of an attraction to him being in our midfield, being a left footer? Because we don't really have currently a left footer in our midfield. We've got Kane McAuliffe, who's not really getting minutes, but he's a lefty. Juddy Clark's a lefty, but doesn't play midfield. Do you reckon there's an attraction to having a lefty in that midfield brigade as well for in 2 or 3 years' time? Sonzi hasn't got it at AFL level. Not at half 40, doesn't, no. But I think the argument is we need to see him at midfield to see if he's got it at AFL level. I think that's the big unknown, the big question mark. So you got Sharp slipping as well. Riley Onley. There was another one. Was it Greaves? Another one who I think slipped. Of course, can't complain. Left footers, yeah. No, they are nice to watch. They're nice to watch. And look, I'm sure obviously the mock draft will definitely chop and change as the years go on, but it's still a very fun exercise to do and to see at this time of the year, given that we've got pick 2 and 3 currently, which is interesting. In the VFL, Leo, he dominates. I mean, let's not look at the Casey Fields VFL game, but prior to that, most other weeks in the VFL, he'll average 35 disposals, get 9 or 10 clearances. Like they're good numbers. They're big, solid numbers at the VFL level consistently. Like he's not just doing it as a one-off, consistently smashing it in the midfield at VFL level. And it just doesn't make sense why we aren't trying him there. Yeah, Grief slipping. And you're pretty solid. I mean, I know things can change, but Duff Tyler, if he's not one, he's going to be top 3 or 4, isn't he? Or who would you take for their careers, Harley Reid or Sam Lawler? It's a really difficult question. The Harley Reid of this year has been horrible. I know that sounds really harsh, but he's not done well at all, and Sam Lawler has done well. So I think based on that, you'd almost go Lawler if we're assuming that Reid projects to keep going how he's going, which hasn't been great. Do I like the current draft system with your father, sons, and academy picks? The only thing I don't like about the current draft system, the going into deficit thing pisses me off to no end. Like, to me, it should be as simple as if you have the picks and the points to get one of your academies or father-son players, then you get them. If you don't have the picks or points this year, too bad, you miss out. So the going into deficit thing shits me to tears. Although, having said that, we may need to take advantage of that this year. So then I'll like it. But up until then, I haven't liked it. But it's one of those things where it's going to feel convenient for us when we need to use it. But yeah, I've never quite really understood that, to be honest. Haven't quite understood it. Oh, that's a Cam. Oh, shit. I almost knocked my phone off there at that comparison. If he is a Sam Darcy type prospect, you've got to get him then. Sam Darcy, honestly, is going to be one of the best players in the competition in 1 or 2 years. He is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Zake, I messaged him the other day and we're still working through a date and time. So I'm guessing it has to be next week, right? Just based on when the game comes out. But like I said before, that's not to say that no one else has been in before me. I could be the last person in, who knows? But I will announce that all when I hear back. Should we get number 7? Yeah, I think that's McCarthy. Tom McCarthy. Oh, no, he's 54. Who was 57? Oh, Al Noor. Yeah, he's not bad as well. I think McCarthy might be ahead, though. Cam, do you reckon we're a chance for Zach Butters from what you've heard? And you reckon mid to late second round for Callaway? That's where I was thinking too, so I'm glad I'm kind of on the same areas there as you. That's good. Oh, it's Robbo. Yeah, good mate yourself. Very, very good. Will I have a player named after me? I mean, I'll make a custom player, but I won't have a ready-made one in there. I did pitch to them last year that I should be tossing the coin in game, but that didn't get over the line. Didn't get over the line. I think, and Cam, you can, or anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we will need to trade in picks to be able to get Callaway. But yeah, I don't know. Does that all depend on if someone bids on him first? I'm not sure. Butters is still cold at the moment, but it's for everything. Everyone else is putting everything on hold. So if you had to make a call right now, Cam, between our interest levels in Harley Reid versus Zach Butters, from what you understand, who would you say is ahead in that race in terms of our interest levels? Not saying that we're going to land them, but who we're more interested in. Sam seems more mature. I agree. Lawler seems more mature than Reid on the surface. Lawler team first. He is. Like, you look at the handballs he gives out. He's definitely team first. Definitely team first. It's frustrating, but it's good. Like, it's such a good trait to have. But I'd love to see him kick the ball. But yeah, it's a good trait. We'd definitely rather Butters. Yeah. He would add a lot more than what Harley Reid would, I agree. Out of the grand finals, what do you think was the biggest wins that we ever won? I'm not including the grand finals. I think the big moment for me, realizing that we were legitimate and that we were a chance, was the Geelong qualifying final in 2017. Wait, was it the qualifying or which final was it? Did we play them in the first final? I think it was. When Cochin did his bloody 360 spin and kicked the goal, that game for me was the turning point of when I realized that we are going to be the real deal for a little while, because that was such a hoodoo. That was so hard for us to beat for so long. And yeah, and then you look at the GWS final when that first goal, when Kane Lambert gets running into open goal, the crowd noise, 90,000 people. It was just crazy. And yeah, Mark, that's a good call. The Port prelim over there was a big game too. We just played so many good finals games. It's kind of hard to fathom how dominant we were. Like, I'm sure we've all got those group of mates who downplay how good we were. But when you look at how hard it is to go back to back, or how hard it is just to even make the finals again after winning a grand final, we were seriously good. And to even win one in 2020 while having to play away for half the year in a completely different state, Brisbane completely botched that, as did Port Adelaide. So to win that prelim final was massive as well. That was crazy. It's as time goes on and you see how hard it is for teams to get back to that point in time, like to a grand final, you can't help but appreciate how good we actually were. You don't fluke what we did. We were seriously impressive. It was unbelievable. So good. That was a nice grand final. The only annoying thing about that grand final for me on a personal note was I almost didn't make it. I had like bad gastro that morning. And we went to Crown in the morning and we went to the buffet breakfast and I couldn't eat a thing. I was eating like dry toast. So that everyone else was getting all their bacon and eggs and coffee and orange juice. And I couldn't have it. I was like touch and go, not being able to go because I just I could not stay away from the bathroom. But I managed to clinch the butt cheeks together and hold on for the grand final. Thank God. I would have been devastated if I had missed that. It would have been terrible. Should have won 4 in a row. Mason Cox, though. Look, I stand by that if 2018 didn't happen, maybe we wouldn't have won the other ones. That's how I try and look at it. Yeah, new dynasty, giddy up. That's what we're all about. Yeah, I know. Mason Cox in that game, Dave, he was huge, wasn't he? He legitimately looked like Wayne Carey that night. And the one thing I would love to find out, I would love to know, was there really an illness that went through the club that week? Like, were we really in that bad condition that we just couldn't go with it? And I still stand by in that game. If Kane Lambert had to kick that goal from 40 metres in the last, and it brings the margin back to like 15 points, whatever it was, I reckon we would have won. I reckon we would have picked up enough momentum to win that game, but he missed. So, and that was that. Vertex, I reckon any team that goes after Harley Reid will be worried about Harley Reid's form. Like, it's no doubt they're talking to him, right? And it's one thing for him to say, "Oh, no, it's all right. I'll be playing well for you guys," but it's another thing to actually see it. And that's why, if you're Harley Reid, even if you're planning on leaving West Coast, I still think it's in his best interest to put his best foot forward and play like a good player that he should be, to show and give reason why teams should go after him and why they should cough up a big fee for him. So I don't think he's doing himself any favour. Yeah, maybe it was just complacency potentially. Yeah, Kane Lambert was good. He was good. Yeah, I'm not sure. So I've just missed 3 comments there. Yeah, I don't know how good his sons are. Marlon Pickett, we just missed out there, didn't we? It was good to see him back in the rooms presenting the jumper to Campbell Gray as well, which was nice. Yeah, we did have a couple of nice runs of unbeaten games. Like, how good was it though, just to turn up to the football, just thinking about how much will we win by today? It wasn't a matter of if, it was how much. It was the weirdest feeling for those few years, in a good way. In a good way. Oh, Tanner Armstrong. I reckon he's going to be good. I'll go out on a limb. I reckon he'll be a top 25 prospect. There's my call for 2 years away. We'll see how that pans out. We'll see how that goes. I like him though. Yeah, Georgie's pressure was always good. Was always very, very good. The work rate he had between the arcs was phenomenal, and it's one of those things that he'll never get a stat for, but it's why he was first picked every week from Dimmer. He was huge. He was huge. Reid played his best footy with Yo in the team. Yeah, Yo hasn't played yet. That's a fair point, but I still think his attitude stinks a little bit, to be honest. I think that's where it's getting people offside. Yeah, Dersma looks okay. I'm not sure what position he would play, though. Oh, Dersma. Well, who do we see winning the next Brownlow in our Richmond side? Oh, I mean, the easy answer to say is Lawler might be the one to get one. But look, weirdly enough, I'm not too phased about Brownlows. Like, this sounds cliche, but you'd almost rather the team's success. But given it's a midfielder award, you'd have to say, yeah, maybe a Lawler, maybe Houghton, maybe Taj Houghton comes to life and gets one. Who knows? Yeah, it's a fair point, Clint. We do need. I mean, Fall and Armstrong are showing some good presence there, but it's just not strong and consistent enough for 4 quarters. And it's just an age and experience thing, like you said. They'll get there with time for sure, and they'll be dominant in their position. And this is where I think the argument about Jacob Light, I think he could do that role okay. And this is where I think Josh Gibcus could play a role too when he comes back. I think he could be a really good centre half forward. And that might not be a popular opinion, but I think he can read the ball well, take a nice grab, and be a very good target for us. Lafau as well, that's a good call, Matt. Lafau could be a good centre half forward too. That's a good point. Yeah, it's interesting. I disagree with a lot of that, Leo. I respect your opinion. He can kick beautifully on both sides of his body, so I can't agree with that. His handballs are fine. I'm not sure how many of his VFL games you've watched, but in the VFL, he performs at a very good level. Very good level. So I respect your view. I just don't agree. I think his skills are fine. Does it translate to AFL level? Different question. See, he plays two different styles though. So in the VFL, he's playing to perform, to impress, to get selected. But when he plays AFL as a half forward, he's playing to save his life and try and play safe to keep his position. He's not playing with the same dare and execution that he does in the VFL. And that's what undoes him. But and that's why it gets a bit hard for him. Draft a star? Yeah. It'd be not. I think we drafted a few this year, but yeah, hopefully we can get a couple more. Well, I'm really going all in on Daffy. I've seen one game, so it's not a big body of work, but I really liked what I saw. And I liked what I saw in one of his preseason games as well. He's got a bit of toe. I think he'll come along all right. I know I've got zero background or knowledge to make those kind of calls, but I like what I see. We're going to try and get Nick and Archie on for a chat as well at some stage too. Yeah, Cody Walker. Geez, that's a real one that's pissed me off. Cody Walker's a good chance to be top 5 or 10, I reckon. Maybe even top 3. I've seen some people have him at. Yeah, I know that Blair and Rye Geishan are probably doing some work to chat to Cody Walker. I guess the only angle we can really play is that he'll probably get more game time with us sooner, maybe, than what he will at Carlton. And you kind of have to hope that Carlton somehow hit a snag with some culture or behavioural issues or something. I don't know, something to throw him off the scent of wanting to go there. But his dad being there as a father-son, as a player, to then go there as a father-son prospect just seems too enticing. But if we can somehow get Cody Walker across, that would be massive. He's going to be a very, very good player. I just don't know how we can make it happen. Oops. It'll be very, very tricky. But we're probably going to wrap it up there because it's almost midnight. And yeah, got a big day tomorrow. We've got some birthday parties over the weekend. We beat Carlton. They may help Cody decide. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice if he decides based on that? I think Banks is more just a winger. I think he'll be more of a wingman or a halfback. But anyway, that's probably a wrap for tonight. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate everyone jumping on for a chat. I appreciate all the positive feedback on it too. And like I said, I wanted to do this tonight because I know that we don't really have enough time to do it on the Monday nights. And like we see all the comments come through, we pop up a few or as many as we can to talk about. But the rundown's usually that jam-packed that it gets to an hour really quickly. I don't want it to go much more. But given the feedback we've had from tonight, I'll definitely do more of these so everyone gets their chance to have their say, can ask some questions. I'll try and con some of the other guys to jump on for a chat too at some stage so they can join in for a Q&A session. But no, it was really, really good. I appreciate everyone's opinions and views. It's so good to hear all the different thoughts because, yeah, at the end of the day, we're all just Tiger nuffies, right? We all want the same thing. We all want the club to succeed. So it's great to have. And I think it's really important that even though, you know, we're talking to the microphone, that you guys have just as much voice as we do and your opinions are just as valid as ours. So that's why it's always good to pop them up on the screen and talk about them and give everyone a say. I think it's always important. You think we need longer podcasts? I get nervous at an hour. Like in my mind, I think 40 to 45 minutes is always the aim. We never hit it. We never, ever stay at 40, 45 minutes, maybe once. But an hour seems to be where we end up landing on, but it seems to be well received. So we'll keep rolling with it. But yeah, I appreciate everyone's love and support. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're trying to chase down 3,000 subscribers by the end of the season. It would be a massive, massive task. Look, and the channel's growing quickly. We're kind of in a spot now where it's one of the biggest, well, I think it's the biggest Richmond YouTube channel going around, which is awesome. So yeah, we're going to keep trying to go from strength to strength. And we appreciate all the love and support that everyone's shown. And thanks to everyone for letting me know that your stubby holders arrived. Very, very good to see. We've still got more to sell. If anyone's keen, send me a message and we can get some stubby holders organised as well. But have a great night, everybody. Have a good rest of the long weekend. Hopefully we can see some more footy on. I'm pretty sure Louis Kellaway and Jack Lees are playing tomorrow. I think they are. So I'll keep an eye on the sample for their stats and we'll do some videos on those two gentlemen. But yeah, if you want to see any more of that stuff, head to our YouTube page. The Louis Kelly highlights went up tonight from his game from last week. There's Tanner Armstrong highlights up from his game last week as well for Murray Bushrangers. And then, I'll try and do a Jack Lees one and an Archie Daffy one whenever they play next. So the next live will be Monday. We'll be live on Monday, our normal weekly show. I'm trying to get organised behind frenemy lines with the Hawks supporters. So we're just trying to get that over the line with a date and time. But other than that, we'll just keep pushing out content and doing we'll do another one of these next week as well, potentially. And we'll see where we land. But have a wonderful night, everybody. Have a good long weekend, and I'll speak to you all on Monday. Until then, go Tigers.